Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It took a lot out of both of us, didn't it? I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my darling and adorable wife. And you are all there at home watching the 1036th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. It's a mix of humor and talk and culture and interviews and crazy stuff. We've been doing it since October of 2002, not 22, not 12, but 2002, and still doing a new episode basically every week of the Dave's Gone By show.
For your feeling, I'm going to say feeling Davy.
I'm feeling Davy. Slow down, you move too fast. We're making the morning last every Saturday, feeling Davy on Dave's Gone By. So if you were with us last week, and I hope you were, if you weren't, you can go watch the show in our archives at davesgoneby.com. But last week was our gala 21st annual Broadway special edition of Dave's Gone By. Oh, looking good.
We should have done it for Broadway with the thing.
Yeah, this is a good shirt. But yeah, so I hope you got to see the episode. A lot of fun. We have all these critics and colleagues and friends of mine weighing in on the different categories of Broadway's Tony Awards. And we also had Tony-nominated sound designer Brian Yusufer, who didn't win. He did the sound design for Chess. So it didn't get the award. We also had... let's see. Sound of a musical. Okay. Well, sound of a play went to Death of a Salesman. Ragtime won. That's me. Yeah. Ragtime won for Best Musical Sound Design. Let me go over, in case you missed the time. I missed the Tonys, too. I'm not going to spring for Paramount Plus. And I was hoping that we could kind of finagle it through our our various... We don't have cable, but we've got Samsung TV here in the house, and Samsung picks up these channels that we don't have to pay for, which is cool, but CBS regular isn't one of them, and Paramount Plus isn't one. It just didn't happen. I was able to watch the pre-show on Pluto, but didn't get to see the whole show, so I'm constantly monitoring, like, who's winning now? And there's two friends. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's super gay, and she's a nice, I guess, Jewish girl or something, but they're obviously theater friends rather than a couple. And they've been doing a video podcast for, I guess, a few years of watching the Tonys together. And they're kind of fun. They're a little annoying sometimes, but so am I. And so instead of being able to watch the Tonys, you watch them watch the Tonys and give the announcement and say what they're thinking. And what were they? I think he was a big Lost Boys advocate and was kind of disappointed that Schmigadoon won for Best Musical. But that was enjoyable to hear the blow-by-blow from them and also get the news from Hollywood Reporter and Variety and just keep reloading, like, who won now? Who won all the big prizes? So I'll let you know. It was Liberation, which is actually a very good play. I saw it off-Broadway 2 years ago before they moved it to Broadway. Very nicely done. I didn't see the Broadway version. I don't know if it grew in stature on a big stage. But it's a very good piece about all these women in the 1970s who are trying to do consciousness raising as women and feminists. But it's not preachy. I mean, it's preachy, but it works in that way sometimes. Good show. Go see it. And it won the Tony Award. Yay. Schmigadoon did win for Best Musical, being out Two Strangers Carrying a Cake Across New York and also defeating the Lost Boys. Not that there's winners and losers, but one show wins, and the others don't. Schmigadoon also took score, book, and both of them for a guy named Cinco Paul, and orchestrations. However, choreography went to Kat's The Jellicle Ball. And then you had actor in a play went to John Lithgow for Giant, where he's playing a real doll. Best actress in a play went to Leslie Manville for the Oedipus, that the new adapted.
What were the shockers?
Yeah, I think the only no shocker in terms of the lead musical people. Joshua, you okay?
Were they things that the guests?
For the most part, a lot of people say Joshua Henry, Ragtime. This would be his year. Casey Levy was the mom in Ragtime. She got great reviews. Let's see. I think the one surprise was featured actor in a musical went to this guy, Ali Louis Borzgui. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't want to pronounce his name because he was the one guy who got up there and gave a speech and started ranting about Gaza and Palestine, and I hope he dies. But everybody else, I'm all for whether they were the favorites or not. Shoshana Bean, yay, she won for The Lost Boys. And what else? Director of a play went to Joe Mantello for Death of a Salesman, which that was one of the big, I don't want to say controversies, but the big things that folks talked about on our Tony show was a sense of, well, if you're reviving a play or a musical and you're the director of it, right, is it enough to do a really great, standard, typical version of the show? Like, I'm going to go see South Pacific. I'm going to go see The Pajama Game. I'm going to go see, or Death of a Salesman, or The Crucible. And it's a really, really strong, solid version. Or is the best director who is someone who just comes in and goes, Sam Mendes doing Cabaret. Like, I'm going to take the raw material
And change it.
and throw my vision on it.
What do you think normally wins?
Normally, I think the regular wins. And it did this time because Mantello won for Death of a Salesman as opposed to, or what was the other one? Cats did not win for, oh yes, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm wrong. Cats the Jellicle Ball won for Best Direction of a Musical as opposed to Ragtime, which was directed by Lear de Bessonnet, which was a much more standard, scaled-down production. So in this case, the novelty, the newness, the new idea wins. Whereas even just yesterday or 2 days ago, they opened at the Shakespeare in the Park.
Oh, wow.
That's off-Broadway, but the Public Theater has its annual post-Joe Papp.
Saying Romeo and Juliet are gonna.
Yeah.
She said get tickets when people are watching the Knicks. That's
Right.
funny.
Well, Romeo tickets are free. You have to get tickets, but it's
But she's
Shakespeare in the
saying
Park.
It's easier when they're people watching the Knicks.
But a lot of the reviews of this production of Romeo and Juliet that just opened are saying like they messed with it too much, but didn't have a cohesive idea of the story they wanted to tell because it's set in modern times, and there are ICE agents and all this going on and that. And they're saying it could have been really cool had the director not sort of gotten caught midway between wanting to tell the Shakespeare story and wanting to do something completely different. They sort of hedged here and couldn't get a cohesive theme going. I haven't seen it. I don't know if that's true or not. But there's a case of a director wanting to change and push the envelope, but maybe
between
not.
Both,
Yeah.
not really one, not really the other.
Neither fish nor fowl.
Why don't they do some scenes traditionally, some scenes more modern?
But you have to have a reason. You have to have a theme for that, or else everybody's going to go, okay, modern, old, what's your point? What is the reason you're doing this? Otherwise, you're just kind of schizophrenic or bifurcated. You've got one on the left, one on the right. Why go back and forth, you know? What?
Dig in your grave, dig in your grave. Dig.
I was like, you have to have a legitimate reason that carries you through the entire show, from first minute to last. If you're gonna take those kind of chances, if you're going to adapt, and just putting everybody in modern dress, which is what they used to do, like the 70s and 80s, was novel and new, and it woke kids up.
Remember we saw the Turkish one where they jumped through time?
That had a theme. That was a play that was meant to go back and forth in time. It was excellent. But if you're just doing it to
David
do it,
Stewart said, interesting that Nathan Lane accepted the Tony for Death of a Salesman as he did for the drama desks instead of Scott Rudin, who's keeping a low profile. Why? I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, no. This is a.
The guy accepted the award twice for the other man.
Well, here's the deal. Scott Rudin is normally at the Tony Awards when a musical or a play wins like best play.
You're part of it, yeah.
The person, it is not the playwright who goes up there and gets the award. It is not the composer or the lyricist.
Who goes there?
And it's not the directors either. It's the producers.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause
The
they're
producer of the
money
show.
people, money people.
Yeah. And that's the funny part of you get these musicals, and it's been happening for years now, where all the producers above the title, suddenly it takes 2 minutes, they swarm the stage because all these people have put money and time and whatever in to put up a $20 million musical. They get their moment, but now you've got a stage crowded with people. Like, who are these? They're all the folks who produced this show. Well, Scott Rudin
I don't know who he
is a very talented, very capable producer. He's done a lot of great work on Broadway, but he's also, as all accounts put forward a couple of years ago, a major, major volatile asshole. So, I mean, this is not a Jeffrey Epstein situation or Harvey Weinstein thing of sexual things. This is just a guy who would lose his temper,
Yeah, but just to stand
throw
up and
things.
get an award, I mean, oh, we saw that somewhere, didn't we see that? What did we watch about him where he was doing that? We saw something.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years ago, but he
We
got
saw
called out.
Something about that.
Yeah,
where
yeah. I mean, I remember
It was a show or something, and he was he would throw.
he threw a telephone, so hit him in the head.
Oh, we saw a show about that.
I don't remember
It
it,
was
but
on Netflix. I'm gonna see him.
yeah, did they do it?
Scott Rudin show on Netflix.
Was there?
Show about Scott Rudin or Broadway producers on Netflix. We've seen it.
Unless it was just a news item or
Tick Tick Boom, no.
No.
Fences, The Prom, no.
These are things he probably helped produce.
But we've seen it. We saw it where the one guy said like he got mad at me. I got the wrong food. I was supposed to get chicken salad.
Yep.
And then another one said like somebody came in and they had an appointment and he didn't like it, but they had an appointment at like 11 and he didn't.
I think we just read that story out loud and maybe you're visualizing. I remember that was in the news items about Rudin.
I just remember it being a discussion about about violence, like throwing a phone and.
So he became canceled legitimately for a couple of years. He had to lay low. Nobody would mention him. Nobody would deal with him. And he's still semi-persona non grata. We want his money. We want him producing theater because he does it so well. But when it comes time for a show that he produces to win and get an award, he's like, me, I'll just sit and let somebody else take the award for me, as opposed to getting up there and hearing a chorus of boos to go with the applause and stuff. So
why can't he just say, I'm sorry, I'm going through some anger management kind of.
Which he did. I think he was forced to do that.
So why doesn't he say, like, I'm trying to get help?
Because he chose not to. Because he's a producer. He can choose not to get up on the stage and take his lumps that way and be publicly embarrassed or do a mea culpa. Yeah. So, but that was the thing. The thing I wanted to talk about the Tonys is doing that show last week, getting the news of who was winning and the awards coming through and whether our guests were right or wrong when they were deciding who would win or who should win and all that. There was a certain rhythm when I was working, especially at Playbill and later for Stage Buddy, of that whole Tony time from late April and early May when the season would end through Tony time, which was nuts, which was we have to get all these stories up, we have to interview these people, got to get this ready and that ready, and it was grueling, but we all loved it. We were really in it, and it meant something. It's like, this is the most important day on Broadway. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything that wins is deserves to win. Doesn't mean that the loser. It just means that this is Broadway's day, and we're part of it, and we're reporting on it. And, Aubrey Rubin will be there with his camera taking pictures of the red carpet, and we'll be releasing dispatches. This is before social media. I mean, we're talking 25 years ago when I was doing that, but this was, when the news comes down, we'll keep updating our story on our website and do this and that, and then the post stuff, and the day after how many tickets did the show sell if it won the Tony, did it get the Broadway bump, the Tony bump, and all this. And it was really exciting. And then the thing would be capped off, this month that we would all go through of like Tonys, doing Tonys. It would peak, and then sort of the denouement wasn't just, hey, how did the shows do the week after the Tonys? Did they get the bump? But was checking the ratings, checking the Nielsen's.
The ratings. Well, you said Pink was very good.
Yeah, but I didn't see her. But
What's the ratings? The viewership?
Yeah, like the Nielsen ratings for CBS, because we would track that every year. That was that was the last thing we would do about the Tonys. It was like, the money, the stars, who won, who didn't win, how the show, what new shows were announced from the stage of the Tony Awards. What's coming up next year? Aha! What new commercial is announcing a new show?
You said you thought Pink was going to be in something. That's why she was hosting.
I'm not sure. I assumed that Pink, because she was hosting,
that's what you said. Yeah.
She would say, and by the way, folks, I'm doing Gypsy, whatever.
Yeah.
No. What was nice, as I mentioned last week I couldn't have mentioned this last week because we were on the air doing the Tony show, but that what was really lovely was so many people questioned whether Pink was apt for the host of the Tony Awards, because she was not a Broadway person, right? The closest she's come to Broadway, she has a song or two in one or two shows, like Moulin Rouge. Her kid is a dancer, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the reasons she got really into it. So, and then all these naysayers, all these people, why do you need Pink hosting a Tony Awards when you got Broadway people? You've got Kelly O'Hara, you've got Stokes.
You have a lot of Broadway people.
Yeah, Laura Benanti, who has everything. She co-hosted the pre-show. Why?
They don't want to do it.
I don't know.
They want to?
Well, Laura has done the drama desks for like years.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure if she got the nod, but they want a star, they want a superstar who goes beyond the bounds of the Broadway stage, right? Like they did when they got Rosie O'Donnell, when they got...
Yeah.
Who else? Well, Neil Patrick Harris was a TV star. So they get Pink, and what... basically
Somebody said it reminds them of one of the dancers in Gypsy.
My wife is holding up a picture of one of these lawn ducks.
Goose.
Lawn geese. This will be good for July 4th.
Well, they said it reminds them of one of the dancers in Gypsy.
I see it.
Okay.
I see it. Yeah. Well, there's no business like snow goose business. Sorry.
Horse goose, yeah.
But, So Pink, but all the people. Well, let me just say about Pink that these people who, like me, who were saying, "Why her?" I mean, I kind of understood why her, but why her? And then she did numbers. She did the opening number on the show. She did a number from Chicago, and everybody went like, "Oh, okay." Pink was pretty damn good as a singer, performer, host, and the naysayers were like, instead of saying, what the hell is she doing hosting the Tony Awards, saying, why the hell isn't she on Broadway? Why doesn't she go into MAME or Chicago? Why doesn't somebody write a musical for Pink, which they may well do now? So that was kind of a happy ending thing. But what are the numbers on the... Yeah. I didn't watch them. I didn't see them.
Let me see. Okay.
I know they were mostly met with meh.
I'm going to ask. What should I... Okay.
Although Cats the Jellicle Ball came
through.
through.
What were the numbers from the Tony show in 2026 compared to past Tony shows?
Thank you. I was holding there.
You have your glasses, right?
Oh, so it does have the viewers. Hold on.
It's AI, so take it with a grain of
Yeah, that's the
salt.
problem. You got the number. Actually, this is the numbers I was talking about before, not the numbers that they performed. These are the numbers I was going to talk about with the Nielsen's.
Oh, I thought you meant numbers meaning numbers, not...
I did. Okay. I couldn't find this the day or two after. That's what I was going to rant about.
Well, you can.
I can now. No, because that was the end of the season for us. The last thing we had to do was check the ratings for the overnights and then the real Nielsen ratings in terms of how did the Tonys do versus last year versus the year before, in terms of viewership, in terms of demographic. And, it's the Rosie O'Donnell years, so they went way up because she brought in all the middle American housewives and stuff, and then it started going down again. And then it became the last couple of years that moment that was snatched away from me, or it seemed to be this year, because with CBS, it's like, okay, it's on CBS, but nobody has TV anymore.
Oh, that's true, too.
Everybody's got Roku and cable this and this, that, and they're not watching, or they're streaming it.
No,
And
you have cable, you have CBS.
yeah. Or CBS takes the Tony Awards, and if you're not in New York and you want to watch them, you can't even watch it CBS live streaming. You've got to get Paramount Plus. You have to go subscribe to their CBS.
Yes, David, you said that several times.
Yeah, well, I'm like, it takes away this thing of like, the overnight Nielsen ratings for the Tonys were X versus Y last year, little bit down, really down, now finally, whether this is true or not, AI is saying it got about 5 million viewers, which 20 years ago would have been crap, but now it's decent, I guess. It was the number one rated program of the evening, although slightly down from the year before.
Okay.
But last year was apparently very big, and I don't even know why.
Who hosted last year?
I think it was still Cynthia Erivo, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Like the pre-pandemic benchmark was 5.4 million, so not that far, a couple of 100,000 off. 2016.
Yeah, but that's when we had real TV.
Right, and, that was 10 years ago. Real TV. You're not going to like this. That's when they had 8.7 million viewers because that was the year of Hamilton. It had quote unquote the Hamilton effect, and it added like 3 million viewers that year because everybody was so excited about the show.
Their TVs and they were vomiting, so they left it on.
But I mean, are they measuring in the Nielsen's? Isn't counting now the Paramount Plus people, which I don't know how many people even.
They probably know.
Yeah, they must.
You couldn't want me to put in there what Paramount Plus?
Yeah, if they even do the numbers like that, because on one level it's good, on one level CBS has committed to the Tonys for 50 years, and don't seem any, loath to even with Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss would probably want the Tonys for 100 years, so they seem to want to keep it, and this is another excuse. It's kind of like, the Nielsen's are only so important day to day because we care about social media now. That's where we sell our stuff. We care about Paramount Plus and adding some viewership and blah, blah, blah. CBS over-air TV, still important, but and that puts less pressure, I guess, on the Tonys year to year to maintain and add viewers or not go too far down. Thank you. Let's see. Well, the awards remain a digital powerhouse, dominating social media as the number one most social linear program of the day. I believe that. If you look at Facebook and probably TikTok and Instagram all night long, it's like, very cool. So anywho, that was my semi-rant about missing
What were your other numbers you were going to
the
talk
post-coital cigarette of toniness. What was sorry, what?
You were going to talk about other numbers, too.
That was it. It was going to be
Numbers?
Paramount Plus numbers. I don't know if they'll do them or release them.
Well, they say they're still calculating some of that.
Yeah, it's still less than a week in the rear view, and they probably collect everything for the week and then give out the numbers or find out what the numbers are. But that was our last episode last week, our 1035th, our special Tony broadcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. I thank so much all the critics and people who took part. I'm separating critics from people. The critics took part and the people took part. So thank you to, I'm not going to rename them because I don't have the list in front of me, but it was more than a dozen folks who helped make our Tony show, again, one of our very, very best, and so proud of that. And thank you to Rabbi Sol Solomon, who gave his rabbinical reflection about the Tonys and the nominees and the Jewishness of the Tony Awards plus or minus in a given year. Speaking of Rabbi Sol Solomon, he shall be with us again today on this June 13th episode of Dave's Gone By, because he's going to be interviewing a cool dude, a talented dude, a dude who is talented in one medium, but is now stretching to encompass another. He's a filmmaker, made a lot of documentary films and produced them, directed them, a guy by the name of Joe Fox. And Joe is going to talk about a bit about the movies he's made, which have, I never have a one piece of paper that I need. Here it is. He's done documentaries about Japanese internment camps in World War II, films about HIV clinics during the heavy AIDS era. And he's still doing that. He still has his company, which is called Fly on the Wall Productions. But Joe Fox, he's a Jewish kid. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a theater kid, but he's like, I have my story to tell, right? And he's telling his story on stage, live with music. He's got a solo show that is called, and the minute Rabbi Sol heard the title of this show, Sol is like, I'm interviewing this man. His solo musical is called Don't Cry for Me, My Yeshiva. He's doing it at the 92Y Bronfman Center over on Lexington Avenue, it's basically in the 92nd Street Y for all of us who grew up during those years. And that is happening on Sunday the 21st, so not tomorrow, but a week and a day from today. You can see Joe Fox doing Don't Cry for Me, My Yeshiva at 92Y. It's basically all about his growing up Jewish and being a yeshiva bacha and Jewish background and his life, and then realizing he was gay and all that sort of thing, and becoming a creative kind of person. Should be a lot of fun. He's got parody songs in there, much the way I do on this show. Got one coming up for you later in the program. So yeah, you're going to want to see that, and you'll want to see Rabbi Sol Solomon chatting with Joe Fox a little bit later on this episode of Dave's Gone By. And speaking of song parodies, oh ho ho, I do have one, a brand new song for you in the Daverhood. It's a parody song called French People, which if you're a Randy Newman fan, and I know that I am, you're gonna want to stay tuned for this, because it's basically dovetails or takes off on this thing that happened about 2 weeks ago when France refused entry to a far right-wing member of the Israeli cabinet, something Ben-Gvir. I forget the guy's first name. So they're like, nope, we don't want him because he made nasty comments about Gaza and the Palestinians. He's very kahani, Israel this, Israel that, as if that's a bad thing. So France is like, we are not allowing him on French soil. Well, strong and staunch pro-Israel Zionist that I am, I thought, hey, it's let's have a little song about France. We're calling it French People, and it allows me to do something that I've tortured my wife with for years and years. It lets me do my Randy Newman impersonation. Because and she will vouch for this, that every once in a while I will do Talk Like Randy Newman Day, and all day I'll be talking to her like this. And I gotta do the lip. It's like, I don't do a good Randy Newman impersonation. I just do a Randy Newman impersonation. And like, yeah, that's my wife over there, and she's looking at her phone. And actually, the first time I did it, she got real super mad at me because she thought I was being racist and making fun of black people. I'm like, no, he's a Jewish guy from New Orleans. That's his weird speech pattern, which everybody knows now because it's Randy Newman. And they've made fun of him on Mad TV in a loving way on Mad TV. And who doesn't have a Randy Newman impersonation? So Randy Newman, but not Randy Newman. Somebody sounding like Randy Newman will do the parody song French People in just a bit on this episode of Dave's Gone By. Also, we will have, of course, Greeley Times, which, are you ready for some sad news?
Yes.
Some unfortunate news?
Oh, God, what?
Well, It's been a couple of weeks since they have updated the cop log column in the Greeley Tribune.
Oh no.
So when this happens, and this happens once or twice a year, where I'm like, what's going on? We're going to run out of items from the Greeley Tribune's police blotter in Greeley in northern Colorado. What am I going to do? What am I going to do for the segment that is Greeley Times? So I write to the woman who is compiling these stories from the blogger. I say, Andrea Grajeda. And I'm like, Andrea, hey.
Is she an intern?
It's been I think she's more than an intern. I think she's a writer. She's a person, because she's still doing a ton of stories for the Trib. Like, she'll do like 12 stories a week for the Greeley Trib, but not cop log. And I'm like, Andrea, you're not on vacation. What's going on? And she was kind enough within a day this week to write back. And she said, well, the Greeley Police Department is short-staffed. So they have stopped collating and sending over the police blotter to the Trib.
Uh-oh.
We can't do the column. Column's over. So now I'm like, my head is exploding. What the hell do I do? Right? Because it's like, I need it. This has been part of our program for more than 10 years now, of items from cop log that we share with you on what was then called Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Now
we were there in 2008 or 2009. I think we left in 2008 to go there.
Yeah, we left New York in 2009 and stayed there until 2011. Yeah. So, was it 2011? Yeah, or 2021, excuse me, 2021, the COVID years. Yeah. So, I was just like, but this, and she also said, being the real journalist that she is, well, you can always get a Cora and, what do they call it, requisition this public information from the, I'm like, no, I'm not going to get a Cora. Yeah, I mean, if I were running a newspaper, I would. If I were a real journalist, but I'm just some schmuck with a podcast.
If you were writing a book or writing something, like it was your dissertation. Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I guess I could, but not my wheelhouse. So this will be the very, very last iteration of Coplog. Or excuse me, well, Coplog went away 3 weeks ago. This is going to be the last installment of Greeley Times. However, there is a silver diaper, a silver lining. As you all know, about a year ago, we discovered the Shepherd Express, which is an alternative news weekly out of Wisconsin, out of Milwaukee Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which I didn't even realize that Ann Siegel, who was our guest last week, writes for. She writes some of her reviews for Shepherd Express. Yeah.
What is it, like a consolidator?
It's sort of like the Chicago Reader, or to some extent the Village Voice. It's one of those. And Shepherd Express, God bless him, has a weekly column called News of the Weird, which it's a much more standard, like, hey, these are insane news stories happening all over the world. Well, we share them with you as part of what was Greeley Times, and will again today. But from now on, no more Greeley, unless something happens to pop up there that makes more national headlines. But our segment, at least for the foreseeable future, will go on. I just have to change the name. So what do you think of News Gone Nuts? No?
No.
News Gone Nutty?
No.
Well, what would be your... Because we used to do the News Gone By way back when. That was a different segment.
It could be News from the Flock, because it's Shepherd.
Oh!
Flock and News.
Flock you.
But it should be News of the Weird or something like that. It's not nutty. It's just weird or sad.
News Gone... Well, I like the Gone... Obviously the Gone part dovetails with all the something gone this and this gone that for Dave's Gone By.
Non-Greeley Crimes in Old Times? Keep it just called
Non-Greeley Times. Non-Greeley Times.
Keep it
I like that.
Because you have the same feeling. It's just different.
You're right. I like News Gone Nuts, but non-Greeley Times
We
work.
have a lot of people from Greeley, so So you could ask them to give the things that happen, like they could become your people on the street. You know?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we will never do another Greeley story.
No.
Since unfortunately I'm still subscribed to the fucking Greeley Tribune for a few more months. They had a really sweetheart renewal deal for 2 years. So because just to get the cop log, it was worth it for me to pay whatever $8-10 a year to get the newspaper. But I will not be renewing. No, sir. No, sirree, Bob. Nuh-uh. And yet, maybe I should. I won't cancel. What the hell? But so this will be the last iteration this week of Greeley Times. When it then next week morphs into non-Greeley Times.
Why don't you just do one this week and save it and stretch it out?
Oh, I could, because I think I have 2 left.
Yeah. Do one a week, you know.
All right. Well, I've got literally only 2. So.
Just do one.
Yeah. All right, I will. I have 4.
Yeah.
I have 4. We can do 1 a week.
And you could also ask your friends in Greeley to say it.
Or to tell me if anything wild happens there, for sure. Or because I'm still subscribed to the newspaper. Oh, my glasses. I will still get, if there are any funny stories, it'll be part of the regular paper. But this is, here, I'm even going to do this right now. This is...
When your friend sent you when trees attacked, that was part of the normal paper.
I know. So I've got the Greeley homepage now in front of me of the Greeley Times newspaper. University of Northern Colorado Board of Trustees approves tuition increases for next school year. Yeah, soak those kids. Yeah. Greeley's $18 million budget deficit is nearly closed.
Oh, God. I know, boring.
Evans teacher named semifinalist for Colorado Teacher of the Year. I'm a semifinalist.
You take what you can get. I'll be back in a second.
Colorado man found dead in Yellowstone Park.
Oh, God.
If it was Jellystone Park and Yogi was a suspect, I'd be interested. I mean, it's not. Oh, hello. Okay, sometimes. I will share this one with you. According to the Greeley Tribune, this is a regular story. I should save this. A man is back in the Weld County Jail. Weld County is where the county where Greeley is. A man is back in Weld County Jail after police say he robbed a West Greeley bank Thursday morning using a toy gun following his release a few hours beforehand. He faces charges of theft and aggravated robbery. This would have made cop log. Before robbing the bank, Maris had stolen a bicycle and spray painted a toy gun to look like a real gun, according to the affidavit. And he'd been arrested earlier that day on suspicion of obstructing a police officer and camping on public property at East Memorial Park in East Greeley. Okay, all right. So you can still find the occasional wonderful Greeley story, because it's still Greeley, Colorado. But Paramount's Skydance merger with Warner Brothers won't harm competition. Yeah, right. This is kind of great. This isn't even Greeley at all. It's an Associated Press story. I think I still have to keep looking at the Greeley Tribune. Days before the beginning of Pride Month in June.
What are you reading about Greeley?
Well, this is actually an Associated Press story that they're carrying. Days before the beginning of Pride Month, this month in June, a glamorous drag queen with long wavy red hair, a matching mustache, and carabiner earrings stared into a camera and levied a strong accusation against a famous sustainable outdoors apparel brand.
Ooh.
This is a corporation trying to erase an activist. The drag queen, Patty Gomia, said in a video she was breaking her silence on a lawsuit filed against her by Patagonia, the brand based on queens.
I don't think people would confuse them.
No. Well, but the apparel company is suing her for $1 for trademark infringement.
$1? Is that normal?
Well, it's they're making a point, but experts say legal fees could surpass $1 million.
What?
It's
Just
the law.
Change your name.
Well, no. Why should she? As you said, nobody's going to confuse her. You can't trademark a name.
Yes, you can. You can't call yourself Nike.
I think you can't brand yourself as Nike. Where's that? I see you're holding up pancakes.
It's Baltimore Buffet Lunch is taking over Inner Harbor. 20 brunch restaurants, purveyors, multiple jazz, acoustic, mimosa, orange crush bars, vintage flea market, silent headphone party, and more.
Okay, I'm down for that. Next time you want to get a haircut or something, go down there. We'll check it out. Patagonia, who's...
I feel like you can't afford legal fees. I mean, that's a lot of money.
No one can afford legal. Do you know how many people I would have sued at this point if, if it weren't such a thing to hire a lawyer, even if they're working pro bono, there's a certain amount that you've got to cough up and give them.
It's expensive. Yeah. You could afford that.
Exactly.
Can you get a public defender to help you, like a legal aid help you?
She probably will.
Is there an art, is there like a
volunteer lawyers for the arts?
For the, like that kind of stuff where you don't have money, but that's bad.
Well, Patagonia, and by the way, her given name, her real human name, is actually a great name for a performer, Wynn Wiley.
Oh, wow.
W-Y-N, Wynn Wiley, a drag queen based in Bend, Oregon, known for her climate activism and a following of nearly 3 million people on TikTok and Instagram. She went viral in 2018 after posting a clip wearing high heels while camping.
That's funny.
Okay. See, this is why TikTok is what TikTok is. She makes short educational videos about climate change, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, so she is more like environmental. That's the name.
There doesn't have to be actual consumer confusion to win a trademark infringement suit, said an intellectual property professor at UDenver. If consumers are likely to be confused, that is just, who is going to confuse Patagonia like athletic wear?
No, Patagonia is like a whole outdoor brand of hiking.
Yes. So because she's hiking.
Yes, and they're their sweatshirts and they're all camping. They're like camping bottles and stuff. Here, I'm gonna get it. I'll show you the website so you can see what they do.
Unbelievable.
Patagonia.
The performer called the complaint one-sided, saying it misrepresented not only the facts but also my personal integrity. And this is.
They have, it's all hiking.
Yeah, so if she hadn't done that, I'm wondering if they would have even. Yeah. But it's common. This is still part of the AP story. For companies to sue to stop trademark filings, for example.
When we were in Greeley, that one restaurant was called...
Yes. It was a breakfast place.
Not the Egg and I, not that one. It was called
Expectations.
Yes, and then somebody else said that they had that name. So
McDonald's once sued a dental practice with the name of McDental.
No, you're kidding. Really?
No, this is real.
Serious?
I'm reading this. This is real.
Okay.
Starbucks sued Sam Bucks, an Oregon-based coffee house.
Because it's a coffee house. That's why.
Well, even Patagonia has fought off brand copycats Catagonia and
cute.
Fragagonia.
Oh, I like both of those. It's so clever.
Yeah, but I guess,
and they won, right? They won.
Clearing trademark something similar to an existing brand is a high bar, said a trademark lawyer, because it's rather similar. But this is trademark. This is not necessarily name. But anyway, no, I wish her well. I mean, I think it's kind of friggin' ridiculous. But, okay, Greeley Tribune, I don't quite forgive you, but I'm going to keep my subscription, because even still, sprinkled...
You can probably still grab some
without the actual column that I'm cribbing and stealing from. So that's fair. That is completely fair.
What you could do if you want, you can make one, you could make a couple and you could say real or fake.
Ooh.
You could do like a parody.
I like it.
You could call it pseudo Greeley.
Greeley Times or Dave's Mind.
Yes, and do something like make one that's similar.
Ooh. 3 new books on the Beatles explore final concert friendships and Bob Dylan.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
That's good to know.
Yeah. Huh. All right, anywho. So that's our Tribune looky-loo for today, and we will still have our regular Greeley Time segment coming up in just a few minutes, as well as our guest Joe Fox, and also on the show, a bit of story time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you know that I like to share great literature with you. found this in one of those free book library boxes. And I thought, well, I certainly need this. We all need this. Why not go through a couple of pages of self-discipline in 10 days, how to go from sitting there scratching your knee to being late for work and running like crazy.
It also implies that you will have the patience to read for 10 days and have self-discipline.
Yeah. 160-page book. I do not have the self-discipline to read this shit. But we're going to go through...
Oh, wait, honey.
Yeah.
In October, there's a pickle and grilled cheese festival.
Where?
In another town,
in Maryland?
Yeah, another fairgrounds. It's pickle and grilled cheese festival.
I am there. I am. So even though it sounds really freaking disgusting, except it probably isn't. If you have a cheeseburger, running a burger, cheese, you want pickle on there. Pickle, lettuce, tomato. I guess
it might be good.
Pickle and cheese does work. But it makes a very, very heavy sandwich. You know why? Because the pickles are so cucumbersome. Thank you. I'm here all morning, ladies and gentlemen. On Dave's Gone By, our 1036th episode of the show, we are titling it Fox and Friends, because Joe Fox will be here, so will Rabbi Sol Solomon, so will I and my darling wife, and all of you watching at home. Remember, as I always say, that if you missed our Tony episode last week, if you missed all the wonderful shows and interviews we've done the past bunch of weeks, months, years, and 2.5 decades, just go to davesgoneby.com for our archives. davesgoneby.com. That's all the old radio shows, our college radio shows, plus when we went video about 8 years ago. All the episodes are there. Our episodes are also on Spotify. Our episodes are also on archive.org. And you'll find a lot of our episodes on YouTube. Oh, I won a victory this week. I got a victory from Spotify because they were challenging one of my episodes from like 2007. Because we put all our episodes up on Spotify.
Is that what you do all day?
Basically, yes. Yes, I'm sitting there, I'm like fighting the world, you know. But Spotify said, no, we can't, we're going to mute or block this program because you played...
The whole thing or just the...
I think they just blocked the whole episode or something. YouTube gives you the option. YouTube will say, we can block...
You used to work for them. You should ask your cousin.
The
wife of...
I know, yeah. But YouTube will say, all right, well, here's the deal. We can block the episode completely. You can recut the episode and take the offending, ASCAP, BMI, CBS, Columbia University out. Or we can just mute it for you. And I actually did that with a few shows where half the show was muted because I was playing music. But Spotify was doing the same thing. It was I played literally 20 years ago the Pretenders song "Talk of the Town," and I was like,
why
come
is
on.
it not what do you call it? It's
Well, IRS records, I think they were on at that point. Yeah.
I can't think of the word.
So, but I wrote back to them and I said, guys, when I broadcast this show, we were on terrestrial commercial radio, which means we had the right.
Boys won 4 Tonys.
4.
They're saying that. Yeah.
But it didn't win Best Musical. Schmigadoon won.
No, but 4 out of 4 is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, no, 4. Well, 4 is good. Yeah.
4 is good.
Yeah.
1 is good. I'm sure most people would be happy to even be nominated.
Yeah, they are in May, but June 8th.
They want to win.
They want to win. But so I write to Spotify and I say, I did this show 20 years ago when there were clearances. I was on a terrestrial commercial station in New York. I could play anything I wanted to. We had the rights, and now, for nostalgic purposes, I'm posting these old shows the way they aired. Not only that, and this is what really got me, I noticed that in the episode in question, it wasn't even in my playlist, which means that I probably used about 40 seconds of the song to introduce a segment rather than playing the song as part of a segue.
Can't you just say that. I've seen someone on your old radio station say that they do not have the rights to the music and they're playing it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they have algorithms at Spotify and YouTube and all these places that go, oh, we're picking this up. This is blah, blah, blah. So, and that may happen today. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing the Randy Newman song parody later in the show, and the backing track is Randy Newman Short People. So for all I know, YouTube's going to immediately hear the first notes.
Why can't you play it on your piano like you do?
Because I can't. A, I don't have a piano, or I don't even know where my real keyboard is.
They're all in the closet.
You know, I can't play. Yeah. And I'm, you know, I can't really play chords. I can't play real piano. And it's better. It works with the real karaoke backing. And as I've always said about this, you go on YouTube and there's a billion people posting actual song videos, you know, the entire albums.
How are they doing it?
I don't know.
Like when you watch a clip on like Reels and stuff, they have music.
Yeah, I don't understand why they target certain songs, certain people, certain shows.
Maybe certain companies are more, maybe certain like record companies are more aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, well, Bob Dylan was the worst for many years. I had no problem posting all my shows in different places, and then any song that was a Dylan song was the first one to say, you can't play it, you can't do it, you can't.
But I don't blame them, because as somebody who gets plagiarized all the time, it's horrible.
It is hard, except there's no great American or any kind of artist who stole more lines and melodies than Bob Dylan.
Well, that's people who do that are the worst, because they know what it is.
Yeah. And it's not him per se, it's the people looking out for his interests, of course, and his lawyers and his publishing company and all of that. But then you can go on YouTube and find all these people who post Bob Dylan songs as they were on his albums. But if I play it as part of my show, suddenly YouTube is like, you know, we've noticed this, and you can either block it. You're blocked in 15 countries in the EU. I was like, what the fuck? You know. But Spotify, God bless them, they knuckled under. They said, you know, we've taken away your fine. We have cleared your broadcast.
There's a Buck Something coloring book now.
There's a what?
Buck Something's coloring book.
Yes. So, so thank you to Spotify for seeing the light, as it were, because I'm not making money on Spotify. I'm not, you know, monetizing all these things. I'm just getting the show out there to people. And it, also to their credit, you know, all the shows between like 2002 and like 2020 were filled with music. And I've only had, you know, very, very isolated problems. Lots of problems with YouTube. Very isolated problems, if any, with Spotify. So happy to announce that. Also, I want to thank very, very much. So another piece of nice news this week. Thank you once again to the, I think, I may have said this at the end of last week, but I'll say it again.
What?
To the Press Club of Long Island.
You mentioned it, but you couldn't get the name of the award. You didn't know the actress. You were struggling a bit. So
Yeah, I may have come up with it.
One,
Yeah, but thank you again. I won first place for an interview with Jane Lynch that was published in, I think it was late 2025 in Long Island Woman magazine. Thank you, Ari, my publisher there, who assigned me and commissioned the interview. And the Press Club of Long Island awarded me, I've gotten a few awards from them. First place, entertainment, was it narrative, something like that.
You still don't know.
I haven't looked at it in a week. But I haven't gotten the award yet. I just got the email on it. But that's very, very nice of them. I still say that my Kathy Griffin piece should have really won. That was my best piece of work in a long time. But thank you. I thank the little people, all of you guys out there. And what else? Do we want to talk about the maybe we'll do it later, of our big story of the week locally? Yeah. So, my wife and I are safe. We're fine. We're great. Early in the week, we're going, she has an appointment, you know, a couple of towns away. And what I always try and do, I hate There's so many things in the world I hate. I am just a concatenation of disappointments and hatred. That is what makes up my life. But I hate roundabouts or traffic circles, as you might call them. I have no idea what to do. I can read the stories, I can watch the videos of, if you get to the thing first, you have to wait. If you're turning right, it's just whoever invented them is roasting in a place in hell. Why you can't have a four-corner stop sign, four-way, I don't know, or yield, no, some moron. So we'll put you in a circle, and then this person who looks like he's going that way can suddenly turn in front of you. It's nuts. And we all know this because there's a major roundabout in a nearby, I think it's a city called Towson that is near where we live. And Towson has a very important roundabout that's right in the hub, the center of the city. You can barely avoid it. I have to avoid it a lot because we have to go through town, around town to get places. So I never want to, I'll go almost half a mile out of my way just to avoid having to deal with a roundabout. I dealt with them in Colorado a bit, but the traffic was much lighter. And even there, like when we go to Loveland, Colorado, they had tons of roundabouts. And I was like, nope, not going to deal. I'm just going to go down this street, come back around and avoid dealing with traffic that I just don't know how to deal with. So once again, we have to go a couple of towns away. This is back on, I think, Monday or Tuesday of this week. And I'm like, I'm going to avoid the roundabout. We're going to be near it. We're going to be 2 blocks away. But I'm going to just go this and go straight through. And, I'm driving, and we're at a light. And then this moron goes into the box. Right, he blocks the intersection. And we're not running late, but we're very time conscious when I'm driving somewhere for an appointment. And now I'm like, oh, Jesus, we're going to miss the next light because this idiot is in this intersection. Is that ketchup? What is that?
Yeah, it's the ketchup, huh?
This guy's blocking the intersection, and it's not like he's going to go as soon as his light turns green because there's cars in front of him. He's just there blocking the box. And he doesn't, literally, not only doesn't he pay any mind, he's got like some music on in his car, and he's boogieing. I'm seeing him in the car like boogieing while he's blocking the way. Okay, fine. Annoying, and I'm still avoiding the roundabout, and at some point he'll go, and we have time, and we're fine. But then we hear sirens. And then we see a cop car, like, going through, trying to get through, trying to pass that guy on the left. And then we see a policeman on foot, and he's got his hand like ready to pull his gun. And it's got nothing to do with the guy who's blocking the intersection. They're heading, where are they heading? To the roundabout. And thank God, instead of going through the roundabout, the intersection clears and we just go straight like I was going in the first place, and we go to the appointment and no big deal. We read within a few minutes that there had been a fatal, deadly shooting in the Towson roundabout. 2 minutes, just around the time that we would have been in the Towson roundabout, some guy got shot 9 times. It was allegedly may have been a road rage incident. They're not saying it wasn't. They're not saying it was. It was a student at Towson University who got the lead pumped into him. And here's the thing that kills me, the thing that I just don't understand. It's been almost a week now. They cannot find a suspect. They cannot. Now, understand, one of the things I hate about roundabouts is we have a local one here in our town that has almost no traffic in it ever. So you come up to it, you look around, there's no cars, you go whatever direction you want. It's fine, okay, fine. It's like making a regular left or right turn. Who cares? But the roundabout in Towson and other places in Colorado, they're packed. That's the whole point. One car's here, one car's there, one car's there. They all want to go different ways. So it's like, ooh, scary, lots of cars everywhere. How? In the middle of a big city, medium-sized city.
They know. They just won't release it.
How could they not release it? He's got to be old enough. It can't be underage because he's driving a car.
No, but they're looking. They probably don't want to jeopardize.
They don't want to mention, but if they get a suspect in custody, they would say it.
Every business has cameras.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's got to be, there's literally tons of stores and eateries right around the roundabout. It's in the center of everything. And there's traffic everywhere. How does some lunatic or road rage lunatic with what I have to say is a semi-automatic or maybe an automatic weapon, because if you're pulling off 9 shots, tung, 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 you're not reloading a shotgun, right? How does this person magically, with a, presumably with a license plate on the back in front of his car, so to get through a roundabout, go zoop, zoop, and nobody has pictures, nobody's got satellite, nobody's got cameras on their store, no witnesses in the middle of a major street sees anything to say what kind of car it was to get 1 or 2 numbers on the license plate? How? It is mind-boggling. How does a murder, it was a murder, or maybe murder 2 if it wasn't pre-planned. Does this occur?
You're watching too much
Law and Order. But it is really mind-boggling. And it does also go to what people are saying about that the mall is a third empty now. People are afraid to go there. They're calling it ghetto town now. So Towson police, I realize we're so used to watching Law and Order and, I don't know, NCIS and all these different shows, SVU, Law and Order, this, where in amazingly 48 minutes, they go from having no suspects at all and not knowing where to even start to, we've got them in court and we're mostly we're going to get a conviction. And we're used to it. It's like, okay, they got this, they got fingerprints, they got bullet shell, the casings of this, witnesses, clothing, blood, spatter, and they find the person. They find the person, week after week after week, and if you're binge watching, like every 49 minutes or every hour, another crime was committed, they have no idea, now they have an idea, now they know, now they just have to get the conviction, but there's a bugaboo, a snafu, they still managed to get some kind of conviction, fine. And in real life, it doesn't work like that. It does boggle my mind how police and detectives are able to solve so many cases when people initially get away. How do they? But at the same time, when that doesn't happen, when you have a major police force in a major town, in a major city, and 9 bullets going into a college kid, and you don't mention, and you're just like, we're hoping people will come forward with information. It's like, really? That's your best? That's all you can do? It does make one, it does give one pause of like, don't let that turn into the Wild West over there. I don't know, but anywho. But I was there but for the grace of whoever. I'll say God. You can say whatever. My wife and I were 2 minutes away from a shooting. And we're just like, okay, we lived. Didn't hear any pop-pops. Only heard the sirens afterwards and saw the cops. So in some ways, a very lucky week for me and the missus, right? Anywho, speaking of crime and lesser crime, do you agree, my dear, that it is time for Greeley Times? One of the last ones we'll do. Oh boy! Oh yeah. Greeley Times. So, once again, I will say that back in the day, the Greeley Times was publishing a column every week based on items in the police blotter, phone calls coming into the police department from people who were having problems in their neighborhood, in Evans and Johnstown and Greeley, Colorado, northern Colorado, and saying, oh God, please send a cop because, and very often the reasons were ridiculous, what the people were seeing was ridiculous. It's kind of the fun part. So we're going to do one Greeley criminality today. Are you ready, dear? A caller, hello caller, said that a man came to their door the previous Thursday and left on their door a $1 bill with El Chapo written on it. And the caller said they were concerned after Googling El Chapo.
You really need to Google El Chapo.
And the problem is, if you Google El Chapo, he's got like satellite things. He knows you've been Googling him. And he's going to send some friends from Mexico to kind of make sure you don't Google El Chapo again. All right, that is our one lone and sole Greeley time today. But thanks to the Shepherd Express and other newspapers, there's news of the weird also. This is non-Greeley Times. Let's go all the way to Toronto, Canada. A homeless man who terrorized Toronto. Oh, I love this. By the way, this was reported in the New York Post. A homeless man, and the Post loves what? Something on my glasses? What?
Yeah.
It's probably my spittle.
Okay,
Yeah. A homeless man who terrorized Toronto with a series of poop bucket attacks in 2019 has now been arrested for 2 alleged sexual assaults. Samuel Apoku, a vagrant whose fecal assaults were chronicled in the 2024 indie film that earned him the nickname the Pee-Pee Poo-Poo Man. That was my name. I should have trademarked it. He was the Pee-Pee Poo-Poo Man. He was picked up on May 12th and charged with 2 counts of sexual assault and indecent exposure. But I forget the rapes. This is what made Pee-Pee Poo-Poo Man famous. He threw buckets of, quote, liquefied feces at 5 random Torontonians. Said one constable, quote, a young girl had a bucket of waste feces dumped on her. I'm at a loss. This is absolutely disgusting. So one attack happened outside the University of Toronto around midnight when he dumped a bucket of liquid waste all over an unsuspecting woman. Did they ever do that on Jackass? This is more like Jackasshole. Days later, he visited the John P. Robarts Library, armed with another bucket of excrement, which he poured on 2 people seated at a table. I know it's disgusting. I know. But imagine sitting in your local library, reading a book. Listen, reading Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. And somebody taps you on the shoulder, and he's like, this is much worse than the ice bucket challenge, I gotta tell you. All told, he fecalized 3 women, 1 man, and a child. I know I shouldn't laugh, but how can you not? Apoku's lawyer at the time argued that his client has, mental health problems. And obviously his life has gone to shit. So there we go. Who's this?
It's a Broadway Gross.
Oh, thank you.
It's a poster.
So but I just want to say, going back to our Tony talk earlier, Broadway grosses for the year, I think we mentioned this last week, climbed to $38.2 million for the week ending. Oh, that's for the week ending June 7th. Up 2.4% from the previous week as the industry headed to Tony Awards night. Hamilton led all productions with $2.10 million, while The Lion King and Death of Samurai. Oh, this is just for the week. Despite the healthy week, season-to-date grosses remain 16.8% behind last year.
Wow.
I didn't think that. Making the post-Tony Awards boost especially important for many productions. I thought it was very, very close to last year. Anyway, thank you for that. So that was one of the poop stories of the week on Greeley Times. Moving from Toronto, Canada, We now go to California. Yahoo News reporting this one. Alameda, California. I got it. Oh! Oh! Turkey alert.
I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something.
So, of course, on Greeley Times, we have usually a chicken alert. This is close. This is a turkey.
Whatever happened to your unicorns that I got you?
They're in
there.
there.
In your bag, remember?
Oh, maybe. They're either still in my bag or they're in a thing. Here's a turkey alert. 83-year-old Mary Jo Kelly was out on her evening walk when she was ambushed by a gang of wild turkeys who left her bloody and requiring stitches. First, the birds attacked her from behind and sent her crashing to the ground. Kelly told ABC7, quote, I went head first and broke my glasses, crunch. I hit the palm of my hand and my thumb. I bled in the nose. So after escaping the Hitchcockian birds, Kelly called her husband, who rushed her to the ER for CT scan and 6 stitches on her right hand. After that, she called police and asked them to deal with the problem. But they demurred, saying they don't handle wildlife. Asked about the incident, a wildlife expert noted that turkeys are aggressive right now because it's mating season. Sounds like Mary Jo Kelly got away kind of easy if that's the case. I mean, they got her from behind. I don't know. She might have gotten a little gobble, if you know what I'm saying. I think you. And it is that, I mean, this was a couple of weeks ago, I guess, but it is that time of year. We both saw this week, baby bunnies, right? Our neighbor. I never knew. You want to tell about the neighbor? No, please. So he's out there. He's always doing work on his yard. He loves to work on the garden and the flowers, and he's got like this giant thing of mulch that he's scattering all over the bushes and things. But he's also, there's a patch on his front yard of gray grass, or gray-brown grass, where the rest of the yard is gorgeous. And I was like, I see that. I was like, well, yeah, okay, great. We got gray patches and weeds all over our lawn. And he said, no, that's bunnies. I'm like, what are you talking about? And if you always wonder, where the hell do little baby rabbits, they're not just under a tree. They're not just in a little place with a covering.
There's no nest.
Mama bunny digs a hole in the ground. And she digs it deep enough to lay 2 or 3 bunny babies. So, and then she covers it over with the grass that she dug up. So he calls us over to his yard, and he very carefully, very delicately pulls back this bit of lawn, and there sleeping are 2 infant, I couldn't see the third, or 3 infant bunny rabbits. And we didn't touch them, we didn't disturb them, we just put the thing right back. But I was like, that's the most wonderful thing I've ever seen. I want bunnies in my yard. And wouldn't you know, a couple of days later, you think they're from the same brood, we saw a little baby rabbit in our backyard. It was the cutest freaking thing. We've seen them a year or 2 ago also, but unbelievably cute. And then a day later, I saw a little baby squirrel in the yard. So it was that time of year, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and now, so we say the fruits of the mating season are very, very much available, and I couldn't be more. Oh, and we saw spotted deer. We saw a couple of baby deer does. I took pictures of them actually on my on that phone right there, but you can't even see it. Awesome. But yeah. Anywho, but grown turkeys apparently are not very nice, and they did not very nice things to Mary Jo Kelly out in Alameda, California. Now we move from all the way west of the country to the middle of the country. Why, oh, why, oh, why, oh. Why is our next story from Ohio? Toledo. This was also reported in the New York Post. An out-of-control, caught-on-camera brawl broke out between families over seating at a graduation last month in Ohio. One woman was sent to a hospital, the other was sent to jail. Okay? So people get a little head up over, graduation, it's hot, it's whatever. The twist? The graduation was for kindergarten from Queen of the Apostles Elementary School. Jessica Anderson had begun hoarding seats for her own family. Other parents complained, so she started cursing them out. That's when another parent tried to mediate. That's when Anderson's family jumped him and started pummeling him. Then his ex-girlfriend tried to help him, so Anderson grabbed her by the hair and those two started going at it, with the girlfriend getting her face slammed into a chair. Anderson did get arrested and charged with felonious assault. And so, of course, it's a New York Post, so I got to read the comments under the story. Comment of the day, quote, "Of course this woman was excited. She was the first person in her family to graduate from kindergarten." Well, anywho. Gotta love that it's an elementary school graduation that turns into a complete melee.
They say like dance moms, like the kids are trying to dance up there and the mothers are worse than the kids, so.
Yeah, it's great. I think there was some video with this.
I remember when we had our friends and they had kids in New York, and the kid said to me, "It's a silent game," because the parents were so horrible in the audience that watched doing soccer that nobody could clap or say anything. Because the parents were silenced because they were so obnoxious to yelling at the kids and
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have another else. Well, they're all going to be elsewheres now. We go to Waldeboro, Maine. Again, thanks to the New York Post. As part of a science class experiment, students at Meadomac Valley High School baked a patch of potting soil to determine the effect of sterilized soil on plant growth.
Okay.
How clever. The kids put the soil in a baking dish and covered it with tin foil.
Oh no.
I think you know where this is going.
Somebody ate it.
Well, they set it
Like
to
a
the side of the
brownie,
stove.
like a brownie? Oh.
Unfortunately,
Oh no.
yep, that night was the school's community service dinner to fight hunger. True. Like something you were literally seeing in a sitcom. Servers were dashing around the kitchen to serve guests, and somehow one of them grabbed the baked dirt along with the actual food items. Said the school in a statement, quote, "3 students briefly put the soil in their mouths thinking it was dessert." Tells you something about the cooking skills of the whole
brownie, like a brownie.
Yeah. I'm sure it looked like a mud cake. They quickly realized what it was, and this literal mud cake was removed from the dinner immediately. Officials were assured the incident was a mistake and not a prank, though the school newspaper is hoping to get the real dirt. And if you think about it, they did bake the thing, so it was sterilized soil. No one's getting it.
But I don't think you should eat it.
Really?
They want to see if you can grow a plant in it. Why would you eat it?
I actually remember when we used to ask this question as kids, and I think the answer was no. But if you swallow a seed.
No.
Because why? Because it won't?
I think the acid in your stomach will destroy it, and you'll probably just poo-poo it out. You're not going to grow a tree.
But what if you encapsulate it like in dirt, and you put a seed in dirt, and you swallow a dirt ball? How long would you? I'm going to try that. All right, let's have another elsewhere. Let's go to, New York Met fans know this place pretty well. Port St. Lucie, Florida. This is from Shepherd Express and the Smoking Gun. Do you remember the great duck joke? I'm not going to tell the joke now, but about the old Jewish man in the yard and the duck that falls and he fights with the redneck. It's great. I love the joke. Not going to tell it, but here's a similar setup. On May 3rd, a guy lost communication with the drone that he was flying. The machine wound up in the backyard of another resident, Sandra Marcellus. So, when the drone owner tracked her down and knocked on her door. Marcellus told her through her Ring camera, "You don't have a fucking drone anymore, sir," unquote. That's because, like the dirt, she and her husband burned the drone in their fire pit. The couple was charged with a felony. Do you think that's right? I mean, if it lands in there...
I don't know. It used to be like if you were playing sports and a ball landed in someone's yard.
Could you keep the ball? Could you deflate it? Yeah.
If a drone lands in your yard, do you own it, even if it's not your drone?
And the answer is, my wife was kind enough to Google that, no. You do not automatically own or get to keep a drone that lands because they're legally classified as aircraft.
Oh, wow.
Keeping or intentionally damaging one can result in penalties. Well, take a football and a soccer ball or aircrafts too, really. You're expected to make a reasonable effort to return it to the rightful owner, not burn it in your pit.
Where's the little fire pit we have? That one?
Oh, the dog thing, I know. It's got to be in that one, like over there, I guess. Yeah. It's all right. Here, I'll or the candle, maybe. They'll show a little bit of fire. Oh, you found it? Oh, this is the, oh no. Oh, you turned it on. Yes, all that heat, we need an ice cream break. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a little ice cream break there as we get to our last two. Whoa! Our last two elsewheres for this segment of Greeley Times. And remember, we've got coming up Joe Fox talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon, story time with self-discipline in 10 days, plus, our Colorado Limerick of Damned, where we're going to Conger's Camp, Colorado. And our song parody, French People. Stay tuned. But let's finish up Greeley Times. We go to Japan now for our next Greeley Time. Oh, yeah. This is covered by Yahoo News and also the Shepherd Express. Over the last year, 13 people have been killed by bears in Japan, and bear sightings and damage have become increasingly common. Killed. Bears have been ripping them.
By bear attack?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, it happens in Colorado. It happens in New Jersey sometimes. So, bears in Japan. The solution? A Japanese company called Otaseki has designed, I kid you not, robot wolves. These are handmade animatronics covered with artificial fur. They make 50 different sounds, and their eyes and tails flash red and blue LED lights. These Logo Lobos cost $4,000, and the company can barely keep up with the demand. Wow. It's the computer, it's the robot, it's the AI generation. Robo-wolves. I have nothing funny to say, but I just think it's like...
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Could have used those in Pingree Park, you know?
It's probably better than, yeah.
All right, one last, we have comments Johnny Carson would say, to our last elsewhere of the day. And this is, we know this place, Dateline, New York City, as reported by Oddity Central and picked up by Shepherd Express. 28-year-old Casey Klassen was arrested on various charges last month because she enrolled in Westchester Square Academy in the Bronx and attended under the name Shamara Rashad, age 16.
What's wrong with that?
What was that show? Was it not Starsky and Hutch? What was the one where the cops were playing teenagers?
Jump Street.
21 Jump Street, yeah. Klassen took on the teenage persona in order to qualify for more social assistance. The problem... School officials saw her social media account. where her birthday was 1997,
Ooh.
and she was holding a baby she identified as her daughter.
Whoopsie.
Now, granted, in some high schools, that's pretty typical anyway, but still, she's 28.
Whoa.
So yeah. And that, my friends, concludes this iteration, one of the final iterations of Greeley Times here on Dave's Gone By Live on this Saturday, June 13th, 2026.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
All right, it's 25 after 10 Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. You're watching Dave's Gone By, our 1036th episode of the show that we are calling Fox and Friends, because our guest in the Daverhood is a guy who has made films about some very serious subjects, but he has a very, well, with serious themes, but a very fun, light one-man show with music that he is going to be doing June 21st at the, I'm just going to call it the 92nd Street Y. It's actually 92 NY Bronfman Center, because that's so much more memorable. But you can see it, and he'll tell about his life and his years growing up Jewish and Hebrew school, and then kind of breaking away from that as necessary, as well as singing song parodies. So I'm going to share my screen with all of y'all. And let me just pull that down, and let me just pull that down, and let me open this up here on Dave's Gone By. See if that opens correctly. Yatata, come on. It takes a moment. There it is. There's Rabbi Sol. He is founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches and has been with us since our very first episode in October of 2022. He does our rabbinical reflections. You heard him last week on our Tony show. And he does most of our interviews, including this one with Joe Fox. Oh, shalom, my friends, and oh, I'm so happy I could cry. But don't you cry for me, because we have a wonderful guest in the Daverhood today. He is mostly a filmmaker and a film documentary maker and producer, but the exciting news is that he has his one-man show with music that is going to be at the 92Y Bronfman Center, and it's called Don't Cry For Me, My Yeshiva. He's Jewish. In fact, he was Orthodox Jewish, raised Orthodox, but now, his life changed. He realized things about himself, and he's had, let me tell you, a life and career. As a journalist, he covered the Rwandan genocide, which, by the way, kids, that's what a real genocide looks like. And what else? He has, the show that he's going to bring us right now was a MAC nominee for Best Special Production, and he even spent many, many months in Israel on a kibbutz. So won't you please welcome to the Daverhood, Joe Fox. Shalom, Joe.
Shalom.
Shalom. So let me ask you, were you Haredi Orthodox or modern Orthodox? What were you?
Yeah, no, I was quote unquote modern Orthodox, and there's variations of that translation. But I grew up my dad was an Orthodox rabbi. I went to a yeshiva growing up, which was considered modern Orthodox. So, we had our feet very firmly planted in both worlds.
Did the world make, at least when you were growing up as a kid, did it make sense to you? Were you comfortable in that very hermetic sort of environment?
Well, when you grow up anywhere, you don't really know what the other way is. So, growing up, I felt, I never really questioned that. The other layer to my story is that I'm adopted. So, when you're adopted, you grow up always thinking that, you could be something else and your life, where did my life start? So as one gets older, one starts to, question one's place, do I belong here? What am I doing here? And those thoughts never really leave you. But I think, growing up as an Orthodox Jew, I started to question more as I got older, and I started, straying, every teenager has their revolt, their renegade years. So,
I was a revolting teenager myself. I can't even begin to tell you, but yeah.
So, as the years went by, I started to, I started to sneak a little tray of food here and there. I started to put my yarmulke in my pocket here and there. So, gradually I kind of, I kind of realized that maybe Orthodoxy wasn't quite for me, but until I went off to college, that was kind of the name of the game.
Well, let me ask you, since I did not know you brought up that the invariable question, did you ever track down whom your real, but your birth parents were?
My biological. Yeah, I did. I always had that feeling that I always was going to do that. So I did. I did track her down, and I met her, and that's another story.
Well, is that in the show, or is that? Yeah.
It is in the show, because the adoption. My show is about many things. My show is about finding oneself. My show is about trying to take the pieces that sort of come your way, the disparate pieces, to sort of form your own person. And some pieces don't fit. Some pieces fit. And you try to find a way of fitting them all in. It's always a work in progress. So I did meet her. I did meet my biological mother. And the question you might want to ask, was she Jewish? Yes, but she was, my parents were very insistent upon adopting a Jewish child. And they went through a number of adoptions before, that worked, and so they were very adamant about finding a Jew, finding that the mother was Jewish. So that is in the show, because that was a big piece of, who, it was a big piece of my identity, but it also intersected with my faith, it intersected with my sexuality. There was a lot of things that kind of were, brewing in me. That kind of.
Let me ask then. You mentioned your sexuality. You are a gay person. So was that part of the schism, if you will, with sort of a Jewish schism of leaving Orthodox Jewry, or is Orthodox Jewry accepting that, at least not in the Haredi sect?
Well, no, it wasn't. I can only speak to my experience. I can't talk in general. I could assume, I am a man of a certain age. So, I was I was growing up during the I was born in 1960. So I was hitting adolescence in the 70s, and it was a different, never mind the Orthodox way of looking at homosexuality. It was, in general, it was kind of, not considered, the norm, so to speak. But yeah, there's a key point. It was a key point in my life that's illustrated in the show, in which, basically I was berated. We went to see a show about, I was in charge of our Shabbaton, and I chose at 16 to go to see a show that had a very gay theme to it. And our rabbis, found out about it, and they called this emergency meeting the next day. And we were berated for a while about the evils of homosexuality. Mind you, I never said out loud or even in a whisper that I was gay, but I kind of knew that I was. I did choose the show. I was leaning in that direction. I was attracted to the rabbis. So, that conversation had a very profound impact on me. I just shut down for like a good while. But I still tried to find my place in Judaism. Judaism always had, no matter what I was feeling, it always had it was always a magnet to me. I always wanted to find a place that I could call my own. And it was a struggle. Like, I remember going to a number of Orthodox synagogues, and the rabbi from the pulpit had, very harsh words to say about gay people, calling them deviant. So it took a while before I could, find, a synagogue that was accepting, that I found a way of expressing my Judaism. Just because I'm gay doesn't mean it's not. It was diametrically opposed in terms of trying to struggle who I was, but it's not diametrically opposed in terms of expressing one's belief, so it took a while. It was not an easy road.
And you have not dropped Judaism, maybe in terms of religious observance, but not culturally. Obviously, you're doing this one-man show called Don't Cry for Him. Yeah, you're still.
I haven't, I really haven't. I was a member of the board of directors of my local synagogue, not for a while. I still, I'm connected. I'm a member of, a gay synagogue now. Whether or not I go often, that's another
Nobody
story.
goes. You don't have to go. You just have to pay the dues.
Member, I pay my dues, so there's a connection. I observe the majors, so there's still a very strong connection towards my faith.
So what made you musical? Not just tell your story in a one-man show, as so many people do, but you also, on some level, musicalized it a bit with, song parodies, and I would know nothing about that. But please, what made you turn your life into a musical show?
Well, I call it a play with music. So music sort of takes that secondary role. But I think music, look at what a chazan does. Chazan sings. Why do we sing at our services? Because singing is spiritual. Singing, you could speak the words of prayer, but no, we sing them. Song has a way of liberating you. Song has a way of expression that spoken word can't. So I felt that music had a place in terms of telling my story, because I was able to use music as markers and throughout the show to kind of, chapterize it, so to speak. And it allowed me the freedom to do that.
So tell us, what is not to give anything away in the show, because we want people to go see it at the 92 NY Bronfman Center on Sunday, June 21st. But, for example, what is a story, an anecdote from your life that you tell in the show?
Well, there are many anecdotes. There are many stories. So the piece has many layers to it. First of all, it is a show that it's autobiographical. It's, it takes one, it kind of is the story of myself as a gay Jew who was adopted. My dad was an Orthodox rabbi, and my journey in life. But the show is framed around a time that I'm a documentary filmmaker. So it was a time that I spent in Maine, and I was doing a documentary on a same-sex marriage referendum battle. And I got access to both sides of each campaign, but I had to go into the closet to gain access to the side that was against gay marriage. So, part of my story is telling how I, how this experience of having a front row seat to like homophobia, kind of triggered my going back in my life and re-examining and reflecting about what my life was about. But the other part of the story was about connecting. So I had to find a way of connecting to the other side, so to speak, against insurmountable odds. I had to find a common bridge. And the big anecdote that I tell in this story is, the main character of my documentary was a evangelical grandmother from a rural part of Maine who was very, I hate to use the word Bible thumping, but, she was very passionate about what her beliefs were. And she sort of led the charge in her area against gay marriage. So I had to find a way of connecting with her, because the art of storytelling is really being able to connect with another person and try to get into their heart. So, for example, when I was a reporter for USA Today, I went to Gaza, and I had to, look, I am certainly not pro-Hamas by any means, but I interviewed, people from that who were Hamas, for example. But I had to find a way of, as hard as it was to get into their heart and to feel what they were feeling, or else my role as a storyteller would be diluted. It would not be authentic. So I had to find a connection with this woman, and our connection was Judaism. Our connection was, my faith. Our connection was that my dad was an Orthodox rabbi. She related to that. Our connection was, I told her I was adopted. That kind of softened her, because she viewed me as being not gay. She didn't know I was gay. She viewed me as being this New York interloper. And so we formed this bridge. Granted, she didn't know that I was gay, but nonetheless, she saw me as somewhat human. She related to the Jewish part. I related to her in a way that I was able to sort of see myself and reaffirm my faith in my religion in a way, by seeing her authenticity and seeing how she was a woman of conviction. That led me to question, okay, who am I? So it inadvertently created a sense of pride in my being gay and also by being Jewish. But the anecdote, which is a long-winded way of setting up the story, was that at the end of the election, in which we lost that time, we won 3 years later, was that she invited me over to her house for dinner, and she made me a kosher meal. So I thought, well, okay, that doesn't make her a saint, because I had to sit through 3 months of.
And she was a shitty cook.
No, she was not. She was great. But it just shows to Goya that, two things could be true. It shows to Goya that, people are people are human. It doesn't excuse any of her behavior.
Okay. And also, it is rather surprising to me that this was an initiative in Maine. I feel as it was in Mississippi or somewhere, or Texas, but this was freaking Maine.
You know what, Maine? You go outside New York. We have a weekend house in New Jersey, and where we live, I mean, they've accepted us as gay people, but maybe not. Maybe if we were African American, they wouldn't be so tolerant. So
it's okay. Nobody accepts people from New Jersey anyway. That's just giving back.
Okay. So, I wasn't. You live in a bubble when you live in New York. It's like, how could people be this way? And Maine certainly was not top of mind. As being one of, like you say, Mississippi. But Maine is mostly rural. Maine is it's very evangelical. Once you get out of Portland. And we lost the first time. So, so there were plenty of people who really had, and also Maine is libertarian. So libertarianism can swing both ways.
This is a very hard question, but I'm going to ask this question because that's what I do. I'm the gadfly here. Your parents, your mom and dad, how would they have voted?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. How would they have voted if they didn't know I was gay? Or how would they vote if they knew I was gay? So maybe I'd like to think if they knew I was gay, they would have voted for same-sex marriage. If they didn't, they probably would not. But I think once you know of someone in your family, it might change the equation a bit.
Yeah, but you keep talking about, are they still with us?
No, my parents passed away a while ago.
Right, okay. So did
but,
they ever
you know,
know that you were for real? No.
I think parents, especially mothers, I think they always have a sense, but we never had that discussion. So officially speaking, they didn't know.
Right. When did you, and you're married, right? When did you get a husband and all this?
I got my husband in all this when I met him in South Africa. He's from South Africa. And I met him, gosh, when did I meet him? We've been together for like almost 30 years. And we got married.
So they never knew. I mean, your parents must have been in 30, or did they pass?
No, my parents passed away when I was 34. And so, you know, I didn't come out really till they officially come out till they passed. And then I met my husband, Frank, for when I was like 46 or so. No, 36. I don't know, 38.
But his name is Frank. I'm guessing he might not be Jewish.
He's not Jewish.
Ah, damn it! Oh, well, what is he then?
Frank is Methodist. He makes a mean brisket, though, just like the Lady of Maine. And, you know, it was not that. What was important for me was to find a person who I loved, you know?
Of course. Absolutely, of course. By the way, we're talking with Joe Fox here in the Daverhood. Joe Fox, you're going to go see him, please, on Sunday evening, June 21st, doing his one-man show with a little bit of music, Don't Cry for Me, My Yeshiva, and that is at the Bronfman Center, we'll call it a YMHA, just go with me on that, 1395 Lexington Avenue over at 92nd Street. Get your tickets at 92ny.org. Now, we've talked a bit about the theater, of course, but mainly, as you've said, you've been a documentary filmmaker. Tell us about making your very first full-length docu-feature film. I mean, that's the thing. You don't just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to make a movie. How did it come about?
Okay. Well, I've always been a journalist and I've always been a storyteller. So I started out writing stories. And then as time evolved, I wanted to expand my wheelhouse and go into doing documentaries, doing film as a form of storytelling. So the first documentary that I did was on Japanese American internment camps during World War II. And then the second documentary I did was this documentary up in Maine called Question One. And then I went back to doing a third documentary on, again, the subject was on Japanese Americans, but it was how the internment camp affected the generations that followed. It's kind of like the Holocaust in a way, about how Holocaust survivors, how they have, how that trauma informs the next generation and the generation after that. I also do, you know, what pays the bills are doing short little videos for not-for-profits and hospitals, and at the heart, colleges, whatever, you know, and at the heart of all of that is a form of storytelling.
So let's go back to the Japanese internment one, the first one of it. So from the moment you think there's a documentary here to finishing it, the last cut in the editing room, and then realizing you've got to submit it to festivals, and how long is that process? How expensive was that process? Just a little bit of the nuts and bolts of making a movie.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a lot of work. It's, you know, on average, like it took me about 2 years to do that film. It took me 3 months to do the film up in Maine because I was following it in real time for a campaign. It was a 3-month campaign, so that dictated the length of filming. So it really varies. I think the the big labor is on the back end, which then becomes the front end of, going through all the interviews and kind of shaping the story. So, kind of about a year to do that. And then, the other big piece that comes afterwards is promoting it. So that was also, it's really like pushing a boulder, really, of trying to get it out and trying to get people to pay attention to it. But at the end, hopefully you make something that people will want to see and that has some meaning.
So you have to make the movie first before it gets distributed, and of course. But in terms, do you do grant funding? I mean, or you have a company where?
I have a company. So my company is called Fly on the Wall Productions. And we mostly self-fund the movies that we make. So, the revenue that we get from our jobs go into our commission work goes into making documentaries. Going out for grants is a whole other, mishigas. So pretty much self-funded. And then, at the end of the day, you hopefully make some of that money back through whatever,
But essentially, you're not robbing people to pay Paul, but you're doing not commercials, but you're doing the short films for college, and then whatever extra money goes into a fund that then...
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So are you working on a documentary project, a new one?
Sometimes my work is connected to, there's overlap. So meaning that I do a lot of work for a big hospital in New York. So some of what they do is documentary worthy. So like a year or two, like 2 years ago, I did a film about the first AIDS clinic in New York City, but it was done through, it was established by this hospital I work for. So there was some synergy as it relates to that.
Cool. All right. We're talking, by the way, with Joe Fox, reminding you about that. And you were also a journalist for a period of time leading up to...
No end to these talents, right?
Well, tell us about actually physically being in Rwanda.
Well, it was 6 months after the genocide, and this was really my first big foray into journalism, so to speak. I did do journalism, but not. I wrote articles. But it certainly was not on the scale of going to Rwanda. So I don't know. I never thought of it as being. I was fearless. I just knew what I had to do, and I lined up my stories, and I was able to. I never really thought of it as being daunting at all. Maybe now I would, but I think when you're younger, I was just going to do it. So,
And you did mention this was 6 months after.
It was. So I never thought people would say, oh, was it dangerous? How were you thinking? No, it really, I had a few dangerous experiences, but I just rolled with that. I knew, I don't know, I've always been the type that kind of, put my nose to the grindstone and kind of just set my sights to do something. And I usually just do it.
Was there ever a moment that was shocking, surprising? You felt fear, exhilaration, anything in that experience?
There was. I was once, our bus was attacked I was in a refugee camp, and they were chasing somebody, and the person jumped into our van, and our van got surrounded, and they rocked it back and forth, and I thought I was going to die then, but I didn't. But I was just exhilarated that I was able to kind of get to the finish line, which is what I did when I was up in Maine. That was all that was the only thing in my mind, was just to get to the finish line, to get to the end of this campaign. and not be outed, and
Right.
and just and just to survive until the end.
I mean, you were basically doing a non-comic Borat or Bruno in a certain
It
way.
was more like kind of. I always describe it as like Nathan Lane from The Birdcage meets Ava Gabor in Green Acres, in terms of what I was, kind of how I tried to, how I passed, I do not know, but I did. So that's the story.
Now, speaking of stories, you also, and even though you haven't done a lot of theater work per se, you did a fairly major theater project out in Los Angeles that was now I'm going to mention Anna DeVere Smith, but there's a connection there in terms of the LA riots. So what was that?
Yeah. Well, I've always been kind of an actor. When I was younger, I did pursue acting as was an aspiration, but that didn't really pan out the way I wanted. But yeah, I was always drawn to sort of documentary theater, which is really capturing the voices of real people and then creating a script that was based on their words. And I was in a very unusual situation in Los Angeles in that I was doing, my bread and butter was public relations at that time. And I was working for, I was doing public relations for the largest African-American church in South Central when the riots broke out. I mean, you look at me, how would that happen? It happened. And so I was in the epicenter of the riots when it occurred, and I wanted to create a piece where I went around Los Angeles and I interviewed people from all sections, all neighborhoods, all backgrounds, and I pieced it together, in a theater piece that got a lot of attention and got, that was presented, that was sponsored by the city of Los Angeles. And
So were you the actor? Were you performing?
I was one of, I got I casted the show. I went into neighborhoods and I didn't cast actors. I casted real people to play the role of the people that I was interviewing. So as a African-American single mother, I found an African-American single mother to portray the woman who I interviewed. So I was one of the 24 people who had a role and acted in it. I was not the star. It was an ensemble piece.
So, of all the things that of all the documentaries you've done, the PR work, the journalism, the theater now, is there one thing of which you are most proud?
Oh, well, I don't know. I think it's funny that you mentioned Pride because, we're heading into Pride Month. We are in Pride Month. I think that, it's not just one thing that I'm proud of. It's just, I think that it's taken me a while, and I express this in my show, to really get to a point of self-acceptance and to get to the point of, kind of being, I'm not the perfect picture, I'll never will be, but I think I've landed at a place where, I'm good, So, in a general sense, I'm proud of that. And then, that's my God, I'm just fine. And I'm proud.
Yes.
I'm also proud of the show. I'm proud of the fact that I've, taken nothing and made it into something. Singing, it was never in my wheelhouse. Creating a show that was based, on something that happened to me, almost 20 years ago. Create a show that was based on my life and to make it engaging and interesting without spewing vomit on the scene.
That's what I do on stage. Ask anybody who's seen my shows, yes.
And I was able to get it to a certain point, and I was able to, I'm able to present it at a cultural iconic place like the 92nd Street Y. So hell yes, I'm definitely proud of that.
Well, we are very, very proud to have had Joe Fox with us in the Daverhood. I'm going to remind you.
Just sing it one more time.
Joe Fox. I'm not a cousin, but people call me a chazer, which is rather different. But
well, only if you eat the chazer.
Sometimes. Isn't there a thing on your website that you had like pork just before your bar mitzvah? Did you do that?
I did.
I mean, I understand, but yeah.
I'm still here.
Lullaby for many, many, many years to come. But you don't wait. Go see this man on Sunday evening, June 21st. It's at the 92 NY Bronfman Center over on Lexington Avenue and 92nd Street. Don't cry for me, my yeshiva. 92ny.org is the website. Also, he has a website for his film company. If you want to hire them for your organization, for your shul or school or whatever it is, it's flywall.com. Fly on the wall picture or productions is your thing. Flywall.com. So the very last question for you is, we do keep coming back to this little musical bit. It's your story that you tell on the stage there. What music is there? Are you singing what, prayers?
Well, I'm a bit of a Broadway aficionado, so a lot, as you could tell by the title of my show, Don't Cry for Me, My Yeshiva, that used to be from Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. So a lot of my songs are parodies from shows. And that's kind of what marks Don't Cry for Me, My Yeshiva. The truth is I never liked you all through my wild days while studying Torah, while fantasizing about Sodom and Gomorrah. So that gives you a sense of,
I am there. You should all be there hearing more lyrics like this from Joe Fox.
And if you want more information about the show, just go to crymyyeshiva.com.
crymyyeshiva.com. I'm going there now. Thank you, Joe Fox.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Shalom to you.
Shalom. And see you soon.
Our new friend of the Daverhood, Joe Fox, chatting there with the great Rabbi Sol Solomon. So, a lot of fun there. Coming up, more fun on this 1036th episode of the show. It's just after 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. You're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and amazing and adorable wife. Hello, wife. How you doing? Still to come on the show, our brand new song, French People, and our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we go to Conger's Camp, Colorado. But before that, it is story time. Time when I don't have to do any real work, kind of like Greeley times, where other people have written the creative stuff, and I just get to riff on it and be comical. Today's book that we'll read a few pages of is Self-Discipline in... I can't wait. Let me open it now. Just a little self-discipline joke. In 10 Days, which is by Theodore Bryant, who's an MSW, social work. That's for people who don't want to work at Starbucks, but aren't smart enough to get any real discipline jobs. Social worker Theodore Bryant wrote Self-Discipline in 10 Days. Before we do that, though, I did promise Potato that I would share this. Here's Potato. He's been sitting quietly the whole day. This one's quite the interesting Potato. He was definitely a Friday afternoon Potato. Yeah. So, but he wanted me to share a couple of pages, or one particular page, of the great comic book Super Potato, sixth in the series, Super Potato Gets Buff, where I can just tell you the whole story of this really quickly. He's a potato. He was a superhero named Super Max. Thank you very much. A typical classic superhero, lifting weights, saving the world, doing great, and then an evil Dr. Malevolent zaps him with a gun that turns him into a potato, just a regular but talking whatever-ing potato. But then he gets zapped with a new gun that elephantiasis him and makes him a giant, enormous potato. And in this particular, so here he is. Well, here he is, this regular super potato. What do you need? My phone? I think it's in the other room, actually. Sorry. No, it's up there by the Scotch tape. So he's turned into so he's a potato, but he has these superpowers. He's very cute. Here he is. See, there he is. But then in this book, he's turned into an enormous giant potato because he has to go up against an enormous giant fly. And then in a picture that I can only describe as, I wouldn't call it homoerotic, I would just call it like one of the most magnificent drawings ever in the history of anything. Giant, enormous, super buff potato loses all his clothing and has to grapple with an enormous megafly. And it looks like this. Truly, I want this on the wall of the kitchen. The man who drew this, Arthur Laperla, I mean, drawing this is one thing. It's cute, it says he's got buff arms. This is something completely so, what do you think of this potato? Like, kind of hot. I know, right, potato, in a very sort of Greco-Roman, and he's holding his fly. So, but anywho, that is not what we're going to be reading today on our Storytime segment of Dave's Gone By. Instead, we shall be dipping into self-discipline in 10 days. I can't play the music for reasons that I was talking about before, so I'll just do our theme. Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story, and then remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would. You gotta give in, so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed. So this is a book, I gotta get my glasses. How to go from thinking, because, thinking, to doing, which is basically how to go from being nice, calm, sedentary, maybe scratching a little eczema near your knee, to running like a crazy man with your tie flying, schwitzing, and being late for everything. Okay, the psychological systems approach, quick to start, easy to follow, effective to use. Let's read a little bit of this book. Part 1, preliminary information. Important. Whenever and wherever I conduct self-discipline workshops, seminars, or classes, I always hear this question. Can I actually improve my self-discipline in only 10 days? My answer, yes! And would you be taking self-discipline advice from a man who can't control himself from putting the answer to something in giant, bold block letters? I question this. He says, absolutely, positively, definitely, actually, you will experience improvement in 1 day. Your improvement will be in direct proportion to how closely you follow the program in this book. A partial effort will generate a partial result. The exercises, tips, and techniques contained in this book came from different and diverse sources, quick, easy methods, Okay. Read this. Okay. First, you'll jump into the chapter titled Preliminary Information. It's filled with information that will put your whole self to work for. I hate when only part of myself is working for me. I want my whole self.
Is it meant to put you to sleep?
I don't know, ask myself whole. Before you tackle the 10-day self-discipline plan, make sure you're familiar with all the information in preliminary information. Most self-discipline failures occur because of a lack of psychological preparation. This chapter provides you with a necessary preparation to make the system. All right, shut up, you're right. Next comes the 10-day program for development of awareness and attitude. Then, in the putting it all together section, putting it all together, you'll go into action. This system evolved over years of experimentation and research, classes, workshops, seminars. I've taught this to people from all walks of life. One day at a time is good advice when making a behavior change. Do not devour this book all at once. No, page by page, Piggy, you'll get a tummy ache. Don't skip around from chapter to chapter. Look, this guy is like so control freaky.
Yes.
He's like, don't do this. Follow the finger arrow to read this. He's like, and for whatever you do, don't skip around. Such an approach, while yielding some benefits, will leave you with the whole rather than the donut. Yeah. In other words, don't work against yourself. Remember, I love this. Follow the instructions. Do the exercises in order. Jews, go into this line. Old Jews, go into that line. Ready? Jesus Christ. Getting started. Caution. Before you take another step, meet your greatest obstacle to self-discipline. This is true. Greatest obstacle is self-discipline. Meet Hyde. As in Dr. Jekyll and. Every psychological theory recognizes we're made up of several different selves. So obviously we have more than one side of ourselves with which to contend. Moreover, difficulty arises when we consider that frequently our different sides want to go in different directions. I know, sometimes my left side wants to go here, my right side wants to go backwards. And then I strain my ribs. We call this inner conflict. Sometimes one side of us wants to engage in a productive activity, such as working on a report for work, cleaning the kitchen, balancing the checkbooks. But another side wants to watch TV and eat chocolate chip cookies, or avoid doing something that would be a productive use of our time. That's the Hyde side.
Oh, God.
In Robert Louis Stevenson's classic novel, we find the literary example that perfectly suits our needs. Basically, it's about a benevolent doctor who, through chemical experimentation on himself, mostly involving crack cocaine, the evil side, I'm summarizing here, of his personality comes out. Think that part of you wants self-discipline, like Dr. Jekyll. Part of you fights or attempts at self-discipline via Hyde. Get the idea? Do not, however, think of your Hyde side as the enemy. Think instead of Hyde as the part of you that's creative, fun-loving, and pleasure-seeking. The child side. Okay, I like this. You don't want to battle Hyde. You just want to recruit Hyde as a partner who supports your self-discipline efforts. I like that. That's a very important concept to understand. So, Hyde believes if I begin a structured, organized journey toward a chosen goal, I'll become a slave to routine. I'll lose my freedom. I'll lose my sense of fun. I'll drown in a sea of responsibilities. I'll put too much pressure on myself. Well, So, oh my God. Remember, a part of you does not want self-discipline. It's the finger part. See right there. So, rest assured, Hyde will childishly resist cooperation. So your best strategy is to familiarize yourself with Hyde's tactics, most of which operate subconsciously.
You don't think this is like problematic? It's like telling you to take away the spontaneous part of yourself.
Well, no, actually he's saying to co-opt, to bring that and make it do good things for you.
Oh, good.
And here's my favorite chapter right here, Poisons and Antidotes.
Oh, wow.
Remember, this is not a science book. Hyde's favorite poisons are cynicism, negativism, defeatism, escapism, delayism. These are basically the 5 foundations of my own personality, ladies and gentlemen. Cynicism. Ooh. A cynical person is inclined to question the goodness and value of everything.
Yes.
And because nothing in life is perfect, the cynic can find a flaw in absolutely everything.
Yes, you do.
Yep. External cynics, such as sarcastic friends and pessimistic relatives and loser co-workers, who delight in finding flaws can be avoided when you realize that their cynicism can be contagious. So
I think you were vaccinated for that.
I was. Antidote: have faith in your ability to improve. So you're not going to get perfection. It would be ridiculous to expect perfection, but accomplishment-oriented, present tense, concrete self-talk, hi Dave, is your first line of defense. Negativism. And you've been saying, for 30 years, you've been calling me negative. You didn't even know me 30 years ago. It has been said that, and nobody's ever said this, if you could give the person who is responsible for most of your troubles a kick in the caboose. Don't I say that all the time about kicking someone in the caboose? You wouldn't be able to sit down for a month. Whoever made this statement must have known about Mr. Hyde. So why should you waste your time on what precious little there is of it? Doing dumb self-discipline exercises? If you can't think of an answer, Hyde has got you by the attitude. Okay. Then Hyde's negativism, his work is half done. What's the antidote to negativism? Believe that your attitude has everything to do with your success. Hyde wants to keep you from multiplying your powers of self-discipline. Don't dampen your spirit. The choice is yours. Believe it, blah, blah, blah. Defeatism. Cynicism and negativism got married and had a baby. They named it defeatism. Groucho, and it's a famous story, actually.
Cynicism married who?
Cynicism married negativism to create defeatism.
Okay.
When Groucho Marx was invited to join a hoity-toity Hollywood country club, he replied, "I'm not interested in joining any organization that would have me as a member." Funny man Marx spouted this self-deprecating line for a laugh. But this attitude, and I certainly do have this attitude, is a roadblock between you and your attempts to implement a system laid out in this guidebook. Okay? To defeat defeatism, believe in your ability to profit from knowledge. So when Hyde starts to yap about a trait of yours that will prove insurmountable, say, nothing's going to stop me. To yap about a trait of yours. Yeah. Don't let Hyde cheat you out of it. Then you have escapism. Then you have, finally, delayism.
You're not supposed to skip any part.
I know, I'm being bad. I have no self-discipline. I can't get through the book. I also don't want to bore readers by a book that could be crunched down to about 30 pages into bullet points. But it's good stuff. This is
published it as Nana?
No. This is Hub Publishing, Human Understanding and Behavior Publishing in, of course, Seattle, Washington.
When was this, in 1975?
No, it feels like 2005-ish. When was it? 2005-ish Finkel.
2011.
Oh, wow. But it's smart stuff. I just wish he had edited it down even further.
It's from a workshop he did. Oh, David, look.
Well, tell me.
David's Memories and Adolescence. There's stuff about you later.
Oh, okay, good.
You can't. I skipped ahead, so I can't.
Yeah, it's just there's so much verbiage, and it's hard for me to be funny about. Because A, it's a lot of sensible stuff, and B, it's just like, well, get on with it. You know. Crunch it down to bullet points and send it to me.
He's not terse at all.
Yeah. And I should be a Hollywood agent of saying, all right, just get me the treatment. Get me the treatment of this book. 2.5 pages. Got it. Thank you. But I'll bet if you follow the book, and it won't be a bad thing. If you defeat all those negative things, which are so much certainly a part of me, and Rabbi Sol is one giant ball of negativism and defeatism. Yeah, not defeatism.
He's Hyde.
He rages, so he's not full. He's Hyde. Yeah, you think Dr. He's id. Well, I guess Hyde is id.
Super ego.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Anyway. I am the Wizard of Id, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Lefkowitz here with you on the 1036th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the Stream with my wonderful wife, reminding you that if you want to read my writing, I've got a website. It's davelefkowitz.org, davelefkowitz.org. It's different from our radio podcast website. This is the place where the interviews I've written, I mentioned I won an award last week for interviewing Jane Lynch. If you want to read that story, go to davelefkowitz.org. If you want to read my one-act plays, my full-length plays, my little screenplays, my jokes, my song lyrics, by the way, dozens and a couple of hundred songs. There's no actual music there, but you can read these insane, crazy songs that I've been writing for 35, 40 years. davelefkowitz.org. Now, speaking of songs, we have a brand new one this week in the Daverhood to share with you. And it's a knock against one particular people, but they kind of deserve it in some ways. In some ways they don't, but it doesn't matter. Comedy wins all the time here on Dave's Gone By. So the news came down about 2-3 weeks ago that the French government were not going to allow an Israeli minister onto French soil. He's a far-right minister, and he was shown kind of mocking Palestinian protesters and what was going on in Gaza. And, this guy is the far-right part of that coalition that Netanyahu needed to stay in power, and they are, seriously like, boom, Israel for Jews, Jews for Israel, of which I'm 99.9% with him. But, to not allow a minister, we're not talking about a terrorist here, we're talking about a guy who's just a policymaker, a politician, and they're not going to let him into France. So I was debating whether to let the rabbi handle the duties on the song, but I was like, no. Let me get a song by another Jewish guy, a fellow named Randy Newman, who wrote the novelty song of his career as a pop, basically popular music songwriter as opposed to his film scoring. His most famous song still is the novelty number Short People. And I thought, maybe what we need in the Daverhood in these crazy, crazy times for Jews and Israel is a song about fringe people and what they bring to the world, particularly when they're in the wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot minimize the Zoom meeting. I've got to just pull this aside and share my screen again. And let me bring this up. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, now this is not Randy Newman singing, in case you were wondering. This is someone imitating Randy Newman, doing the classic new novelty number, French People.
France has banned Israel's far-right security minister Itamar Ben-Gvir from entering its territory.
The French government says the ban on Ben-Gvir reflects growing anger around the world over Israel's treatment of
activists detained as the flotilla tried to deliver.
French people got no reason. French people got no reason. French people got no reason to live. They got that pompous bearing we all dislike. They don't do no work, yet they always on strike. They eat stinky cheese and get garlic breath. They let 1 million Africans to their death. No, I don't want no French people. Don't want no French people. Don't want no snail eaters round here.
Mais elles sont d'autant moins terribles que vous n'y prendrez pas part.
French people are just a bit cold-hearted. Oh, don't get me started. Their feelings should not be disregarded. I think they're retarded. French people got no ethics. French people got no morals. French people, they just quarrel with you. You know they tormented Dreyfus for being a Jew. They were the Germans' bitches in World War II. They put cheese on chicken, while on beef. They got stuck-up noses and fucked-up teeth. They got unshaven armpits and drink old wine. They hate Americans, and that's just fine. Well, I don't want no French people. Don't want no French people don't want no French people around here.
That is what I have been saying, you idiot.
The thoughts and opinions of Randy Newman do not necessarily represent the feeling. Well, yeah, of course they do. Here in the Daverhood on Dave's Gone by French people there, sung by, well, modesty forbids. We still have more, a little bit more to do on this very episode of the Dave's Gone by Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the Stream, and that includes the Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we go to Conger's Camp, Colorado. That's an actual place. But before, and even B5, we get to that, let us not forget the friends of the Daverhood. These are people who have been on this program. Of course, we have a brand new friend. We mentioned Joe Fox. Go see him on the 21st doing his show, Don't Cry for Me, My Yeshiva, at 92 NY, the Bronfman Center in New York. And we thank him so much for joining us. Oh, and thank you to Paul Siebold of Off PR for setting up that interview. Thank you to Rabbi Sol Solomon. To find out more about him, go to his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. Shalomdammit.com. This is the place where you can, the links are to all the interviews he's done on this program. There's also all his rabbinical reflections, his mini sermons, as well as the episodes of his TV show, Shalom Dammit, Rabbi Sol Solomon's Peace, Love, and Acid Reflux Hour, that he did many years ago now on Long Island Cable TV, as well as his stage show, Shalom Dammit, that he did off Broadway. All of that you can watch, hours of delight and outrage from Rabbi Sol Solomon at shalomdammit.com. Now, those were the folks who appeared on this episode on this June 13th, 2026. But, of course, we've had all these other wonderful people who have been on this program in months and years past. Friends of the Daverhood, what are they up to? Ladies and gentlemen, yes, our friends of the Daverhood here on Dave's Gone By. So we'd like to let you know, hey, they were on the show years ago when they were doing this. Now they're doing that. Okay. Really didn't want to start with this, but have to. Just last week, one of our critics weighing in on the Tony Awards and the Tony nominations was Brian Scott Lipton, and our condolences go out to him because his father, Irwin Lipton, passed at the age of 91 this past week. So love to you, Brian, and our condolences from the Daverhood. But on to happier things. Today, Leroy Reams is going to be at 54 Below doing a tribute to Jerry Herman. Leroy was in Jerry Herman shows on Broadway. And I knew Jerry Herman, just like Jason Gra did. So he's going to be telling stories and singing Jerry Herman songs at 54 Below. Not only, let's say, oh, I'm not in New York, I can't, I'm not. It's also streaming. So go to 54 Below if you want to watch from the comfort of your own home, Leroy Reams. Also today, Scott Siegel's Broadway musical Brunch. That is at 54 Below as well. And if you are out on Long Island, go to the Argyle Theater tonight for Carla Ulbrich. She is performing as part of the LI Comedy Festival. I'm sure she'll be doing comedy in music. She is, of course, the woman who wrote What If Your Butt Was Gone and was in the Daverhood about a month or so ago. Carla Ulbrich. And what else? Tomorrow, Sunday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, K.T. Sullivan and Mark Nadler, two of our friends in the Daverhood. They're doing a show at the Laurie Beachman Theater, and they're calling it, and my wonderful wife will know this song, Always. It's a tribute to Irving Berlin. So, and that was our wedding song. So, yeah, K.T. Sullivan, Mark Nadler, tomorrow at the Beachman. And then on Monday night, yay!
I think when you were were talking about the poop.
I'm always talking about poop, yeah?
No, but I think that's what Art Paul wrote. He was listening early when you were talking about the poop.
Art Paul, and he is an hour earlier because he's out in Wisconsin.
Okay, so I think it was when you were talking about I think it was when the guy who threw the poop and stuff.
Yeah. So Art Paul, real great friend of the Daverhood. He's a Madison, Wisconsin street singer, also a painter. He drew a painting of me.
It's gorgeous. And
he's also the author of How to Peanut Butter Sandwich. Art Paul says, isn't it too early for such a gross story? We're probably going to talk about the guy who's throwing buckets of crap on people. You know, look who you're talking to, Art. Look whom you're listening to. It is never too early. You could wake me up at 4 a.m. and tell me, hey, Dave, there's somebody out there smearing people with goat excrement. And I'd be like, yes! Yeah, there's somebody who went into and this has not happened, went into a Taco Bell and replaced their mystery meat with excrement. And it actually tasted better. I'd be like, yes, there's always time for a story like that. But thank you, Art Paul, for chiming in. And thank you very much to, and Tova Feldshuh, that's what I was going to say. Our beloved Tova Feldshuh, who has been a staunch backer of Israel on her Facebook page. She's going to be honored at a fundraiser for Join Israel. That is happening at the Jerry Orbach Theater on Monday night. On Wednesday, one of the most brilliant people I've ever spoken to on this program, one of my favorite interviewees ever, not to mention a really, really wonderful musician. Robin Hitchcock is going to be, and I actually want to, it's in Annapolis, Maryland. Robin Hitchcock is playing at the Ram's Head Theater or Club in Annapolis. I don't know if it's solo or if he's bringing the band with him, but by gosh, I've seen him in concert. I've had the honor of speaking to him on this show, and I listen to his music all the time. He is a minor legend, but a legend for sure. Go see him. Okay, starting on Wednesday the 17th and running for a week and a half, Tanya Pinkins is in La Cage aux Folles. They're bringing that back at Encores at City Center. I'm guessing she would be the mother of or maybe the ex-wife. Okay, because it's basically about two guys and running a club, and then a lot of cross-dress. I don't know, but she's in it. Tanya Pinkins in La Cage aux Folles at Encores, and then playing on Broadway at Circle in the Square just in time with our friend Debbie Gravit. Anne Harada is in Schmigadoon, the Tony-winning Schmigadoon at the Niederlander Theater. Andre de Shields is in the Tony-winning revival of Cats, the Jellicle Ball at the Broadhurst Theater. You have how much longer? You have until the end of the month to see Girl Interrupted at the Public Theater. That is the musical with score by Amy Mann. Ruben Santiago Hudson. Knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Let me throw a balloon in the fan for you, honey.
Joe. At the Barrymore Theater, Joe Turner's Come and Gone, featuring our great friend Ruben Santiago Hudson. Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com, a website of New York nightlife and reviews and things like that. Vicky Quaddy, she does shows out in Chicago, such as Late Night Catechism and Are You Smarter Than Your 8th Grade Nun? David Sheward, who was on our Tony show last week, read him at TotalTheater.com, CulturalDaily.com, and TheaterLife.com. Eva Heinemann, she is the host of High Drama, which you can watch on YouTube. Eva was with us last week. Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake are the co-hosts of Two on the Aisle, also watchable on YouTube, also part of our Tony show. Get books by Robert Viagas, Viagas. He joined us last week, and he's got a book about Broadway audiences as well as ghost stories of Broadway theaters called Good Morning Olive. So check those books out too. And thank you again. I really should have listed them and done the whole passel of theater critics who were on last week. But we thank them certainly. And we thank all the friends of the Daverhood. go. All right, it is 25 to 12 Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. You've been watching the 1036th episode of this show, Dave's Gone By. So we do have one more official item to tackle on this Saturday morning episode, and that is, if you thought the French song was offensive, you thought some of my commentary about the self-help book was naughty and evil, well, you ain't seen nothing yet, because it's our Colorado limerick of the damned. While my wife and I were living in northern Colorado, I took it into my brain to write horrible, disgusting, evil comedy limerick poems about as many places in the gorgeous state of Colorado that I possibly could. And, well, actually, no. First, I just was like, a couple occurred to me off the cuff. And I said, let me write these. It'll be cute. I'll share them with my writers group. And then I couldn't stop. And then I was like, well, hey, I can write another one about this place and that place and that place. Until, at this point, I think I have more than 350 different poems. And we think it's easy finding all these different places in Colorado to write about. Well, it actually has, because Wiki has a populated place thing, so I take everything from there, which means that some of these places, man, they haven't been on a map in 100 years, or they're a weird kind of neighborhood or a housing development. They barely qualify, but they're on the Wiki list. So I count that, especially if I really feel the need to make a poem about something and use that name. So this week we go to Conger's Camp, Colorado. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and then read to you our filthy, disgusting, evil limerick of the damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this week's Colorado Limerick of the Damned, we go to a place called Conger's Camp. According to a website called returntotimberline.com, in 1879, on the banks of the Ohio Creek, Colonel Samuel Congers founded the Dianthe Silver and Tungsten Mine. It's called Conger's Camp or Conger Camp, or some people just called it Conger. The town grew in just a year to hold 40 businesses, including a post office and a sawmill. However, after just a couple of years, the mine got played out, and by 1883, not even a decade went by, the post office closed and the town was abandoned. Today, there's just a stray miner's cabin here and there from those olden days of, I guess, more than 150 years ago. But still, it was a populated place, it was a community, and Wiki lists it. So therefore, it qualifies for an evil, sick, tasteless poem. How bad? Oh, this one's bad. This one's bad. This week's Colorado Limerick of the Damned for Conger's Camp, Colorado. Ahem, ahem. I'll prove to you I'm not a tramp, said Connie from old Conger's Camp. Go ahead, twist your thumb to get me to come. But see, I'm not even damp. My wife's drum set literally just fell over. Yeah, she's so proud. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any complaints about what I do on this program, and I'm sure you do, please email them to davesgoneby@aol.com. Davesgoneby, DAVESGONEBY @aol.com. I try and read everything I get. I don't necessarily have the time or energy to reply, but please understand that if you email me, I'm getting your mail, as well as if you message me on Facebook, or if you post comments on our Facebook page, or even give me an emoji, or some kind of thumbs up or something. I love the feedback. I love the reactions. I love that when I'm posting interviews now, on Facebook after we've done them on the show. There's a couple of hundred people now watching them just on Facebook. That's not even counting the folks who are watching on YouTube later on, or who go to davesgoneby.com for all the archives, or are watching our archives now on Spotify. So, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people are getting this content, which is it's really why I do it. I need that external validation, because I have no self-discipline in 10 days or 10,000 days. It's just not going to happen. I need the feed, if you know what I'm saying, and I think you don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, email me, davesgoneby@aol.com. Check out our x.com feed at Radio Dave 2, Radio Dave and the number 2. And then we also have a Blue Sky account where we just sort of post about the show. Let me see what the Blue Sky thing is. I think it's just Dave's Gone By. Where are we? Yes. We also keep our archives, I forgot to mention, on castbox.fm, but that is audio only. So that is if you want to just listen to the show as a podcast, castbox.fm. And we have an Instagram, david.lefko. And we're out there. We just need to go viral. That's the one thing we're still waiting for after all these years. The one thing that doesn't have several hundred people or sometimes a few thousand, but get us into the millions. Because I want to found a cult, and I want people to kill themselves over me. This would be the ultimate. This would make up for my not getting on Broadway, my not being on a 50,000 watt radio station. If I can just get, how many? I want to beat Jim Jones, so it's got to be more than 900. If I can just get 2,000 or 3,000 people to commit suicide in a comical way, in a way where people find that it's, they come upon all these bodies, but they're all wearing Google eyes or something, so it minimizes the tasteless, terrible factor. Then my work on this planet will be done, ladies and gentlemen. Anywho, that about sums up this episode of the show. Not that much to talk about, except I am rooting, even though I'm not a big basketball fan, the New York Knicks could, in fact, run the jewels tonight. And if they do, New York will look like the apocalypse hit by tomorrow morning. So I don't know if I'm rooting for them or against them. Well, of course I'm rooting for them. But try and behave, people. Just try and enjoy and jump around and celebrate and scream and pop the champagne and dance and kiss each other like it's the end of World War II. It isn't. It's just a fucking basketball team winning a championship for the first time in 20-something years. Maybe tonight. I wish them all Godspeed. Did you know that FIFA was actually going on? Like, nobody's paying attention. Everybody's thinking of the New York Knicks. Nobody's paying attention like they're playing football. I thought it was just New Jersey, but it's like 7 different countries holding different parts of the FIFA thing. Because they were complaining that in Mexico, tickets were so insanely expensive for for games nobody wanted to see, that they were panned to the stands, and half the stands were empty because nobody wants to pay $600 a ticket to go see Montenegro versus Bula Bula, Kyrgyzstan. Greed is destroying everything, as it always does. But anywho, is there anything else to mention? Okay. I've got a little bit of a coughing. I've got water here if you want. Coughing jag there. But I think we've covered pretty much, hail, a shooting, right? The New York Knicks, which amazingly are not connected, and everything else that's going on, some mix of incredible, horrible heat wave, thunderstorms, and now some nice warm weather. Typical week, not in Lake Wobegon, but in the Daverhood, in the Davergon. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. Wow, we're 15 minutes early. I can't believe it. We've run the jewels. You know what? I'll do Bunyan Watch, just because we have the time, and then we can table the show. This is your special treat for putting up with the whole rest of the program.
You should do some jokes from the joke button when you're doing it.
And a dad, okay, I'll do it while I'm doing Bunion. Bunion Watch is to share with you, and I can't believe it's been now 4 years almost since we did our first Bunion Watch. I was teaching. It was my first week of teaching as an adjunct in a local university here. And I had new shoes that I thought I'd broken in, but didn't quite. And they were rubbing over, not on my actual bunion, but on the toe by the bunion. And it just was a scab for 2 weeks and was so painful. And since I show you everything on this program, I'm like, let me show the magnificent size and condition of my bunions. And every once in a while, I still share my bunion size with you. So in honor of the New York Knicks and my darling and adorable wife's upcoming birthday, happy almost birthday to you, my dear. Love you so much. Yes, this is Birthday Bunion Watch. This is slippery. Left foot. It looks small to me. My left foot looks really small.
Trimming with a razor, go home and file it down. I have tried Bunion Platinum, rubbed on iodine.
Who is that? That's the New Orleans Willie Jackson Corn and Bunion Blues, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, I do have the rights to play that because it's old enough. Anywho, I'm barely old enough to do this show. It was our 1036th episode. Oh, I can't even make believe I'm getting over there. Of the program. Next week, the 1037th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream. We have a guest in mind. I don't want to jinx it because it hasn't been completely 100% lined up with, but it should be a very fun, another cabaret guest, unless I'm mistaken. So check that out. We'll be here next Saturday, June 20th, from 9 until noon or thereabouts on this Facebook page, Dave's Gone By. Remember the archives at davesgoneby.com. Remember the Instagram, YouTube, the Spotify. We're everywhere and not going away anytime soon. So have a very, very fine week. Happy, happy, happy love and birthday to the missus. Who's sticking her tongue at me. Do you want to say something about... No, not at all. No. Do you want to say something about anything else? Any other story in the news? Any other story in our lives? I think she's giving me a signal here. Something I should learn. Self-discipline. Yeah. Well, here, look. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection.
Don't skip ahead.
Fear of mediocrity. I'm going to start at the back because I can't control myself. Here we go. Let's see. And Comia about the author. Let's see. All right, let's just get to the final thing of it. This is the final image of the book. This is as appropriate as anything else on the week after the Tonys. There we are. Using this skill, like any other skill, grows easier with practice, and every time you use it, you're practicing. So regularly use what you've learned, occasionally refresh your knowledge, and enjoy your accomplishments. It's a skill. I use self-discipline. And there we go. Personally, I'm more fond of self-abuse, but that's just me. Have a wonderful week. Ooh, I've got to play my outro music. It's called There Goes the Daverhood by Dave J.
Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by, days gone by, days gone by.
see that picture again? Yeah, okay, one more time, Potato, one more time. Here it is. Can I borrow the book for a bit? And is there any Kleenex and cold cream? All right. Just. I think we better go. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.